Chapter 178. Since Jurdy's cousin and his wife did some fucked up shit as well as they had to leave the kingdom to attend a gala at Kethan, I guess they would be the next target. Then, I followed them but not before taking that camera thingy we were using to monitor Dalar, as I had a feeling I might need that. Just like I guessed, when their carriage was passing through the forest, they were attacked by a group of highly trained beastmen. How high? Michael asked. Jurdy's cousin had 4 level 10 and 10 level 7 core formation warriors, but it only took 3 level 8 core formation beastmen to take them down in just 40 seconds. They came, attacked and disappeared just like that, Gaia said, snapping. Michael's brows raised slightly hearing Gaia. Even 3 of him couldn't take 14 core formation warriors under 40 seconds as the beastmen did, according to Gaia. What happened next? The baby dragon asked her curiously. What do you think? I followed them to their campsite, but I couldn't get closer to the camps without alerting them as they had a magical barrier around the place. I waited there for an entire day waiting for them to make a move, and the next day I saw Quinn walking out of one of the huts followed by 2 frickin' core strengthening level 3 beastmen. However, that wasn't what surprised me, it was what happened next. She paused for a moment to build up the tension as the baby dragon slowly stood up waiting for her to continue. The lackeys of Quinn came out of the hut carrying the bloodied bodies of Jurdy's cousin and his wife. I knew something really fucked up was going on and followed them deeper into the forest until I saw them placing the 2 bodies in the middle of the forest. At first, I thought they were just leaving the bodies for the predators to eat, but when I tried to get closer, I sensed another buried, and this time the barrier was several times stronger than before. I knew I would be attacked by the barrier or get caught by the one who set the barrier, so I kept a safe distance and used the rare mind-controlling scroll on a bird. Why did you do that? The baby dragon questioned Gaia to see her roll her eyes. To strap the camera thingy around the bird's neck to get a bird's eye view. Michael felt proud of her. She did the right thing because the mini camera was bought from the system store and had no magical trace to it, so barriers set by the cultivators couldn't detect the camera. This was one of the reasons that he used it to monitor Dalar without the orc detecting the camera. Plus, the camera could be instantly connected to any glass orb that Gaia had in her space ring. The only downside of the camera was if it wasn't set by Michael himself, there wouldn't be any recording of the feed, but it didn't stop Gaia from using the camera. As I was waiting for something to happen, the camera thingy got a picture of a cloaked figure who picked up the bodies and disappeared in a flash. The next day, the church and guardians declared that Minister Jurdy's cousin and his wife were brutally murdered by Lucifer in their home. What makes you say it was the guardians who have been pretending to be Lucifer? This time it was not the baby dragon, but Michael asked the question. Think about it, human, who could bring the bodies into the kingdom and display the bodies in the daylight without alerting the holy guards or the guardians, unless it was the guardians themselves. What about the church and holy guards? He asked again as Gaia shook her head. I know the church and the holy guards, they won't go around murder people unless someone picked a fight with the church. Some of those dead nobles constantly paid donations to the church. Although they were evil pieces of shit, they went to church regularly. Why would the church kill them to catch Lucifer? Besides, the priests won't let something like this happen as it would stain their image, and the fake Lucifer is throwing up on their image. So that leaves us with one possible suspect, the guardians. I did not see the cloaked figure and have no real proof to back my claim, human, but every fiber in my body is telling me it's the guardians. I trust your judgment. Michael agreed with her because what she said made sense to him. He knew it must be either the church or the guardians who had the resources and power to display the bodies in the daylight without alerting the guards. The good thing was all the dead nobles were evil, so his image of evil killing Lucifer would not take a major hit because of the fake Lucifer, but still, he had to tell the royal land that it's not him, the real Lucifer, who was killing the nobles. If it was before he went to the treacherous ocean, he would have let the fake Lucifer run around, as he did not have the chance to kill the nobles who were now protected by the holy guards and their own guards. However, with the inventor trait, he could assassinate them without getting closer to the nobles. Of course, it would require him to do a good old-fashioned stakeout, information gathering, and planning to assassinate them, except he was great at those things. Do you still have the list of evil nobles in Royal Land? Of course I still have it. Why are you two grinning? The baby dragon asked, noticing the devilish grin on their faces. You will know soon, Dickie. Don't call me Dickie. Ouch! The baby dragon lunged at Gaia, biting her hand mercilessly in anger. Speaking of Dickie, we need to name him. Michael put aside the list for a moment and said, pulling the baby dragon from her hand. We already did. His name is Dickie. Release me, I'm gonna take a bite out of her. The baby dragon struggled to get out of Michael's clutch as he reached out his claws to at least scratch her. Looking at the furious baby dragon, she just stuck her tongue out to make fun of him. Michael patted the baby dragon's head while thinking of a badass name suitable for a mighty dragon. Nightmare. After deep thinking, Michael found a name for his baby dragon. I don't like it. What about Ashelin? Bitch. Michael released the baby dragon as they both began to roll around the floor playfully fighting with each other. He grabbed the list to pick his next target. It didn't take him long before his eyes landed on a familiar name, Minister Jurdy. He did not need to ask what Minister Jurdy did to end up on Gaia's list because if Jurdy made it to the list, he must have done some evil shit. Michael knew it. However, before he could start preparing for the assassination, he had another most important task to finish. He quickly took a piece of paper from the table before them and began to write a list of things he needed to finish the task as well as test his inverter skill. Dickie, you are just at the foundation stage. You cannot hurt me, Gaia said, flicking the baby dragon on the forehead. But I can still burn your clothes. The baby dragon revealed an evil smile as he quickly ran up to her neck and grabbed her neck from behind using his claws. The fuck? Don't you dare, I just bought these. She felt the baby dragon's body getting warmer and warmer. She struggled to grab him but the baby dragon easily avoided her hands thanks to his small body. Quit it, you two, Michael laughed seeing the two play and fight like little children. Yet the two of them did not stop fighting until he used a low-powered wind blast to throw them onto the sofa. Do you know what happened to Ella and Matthias? I thought he would come here to make me apologize? Gaia stopped fighting with the baby dragon as Nightmare flew into Michael's hand, tired of fighting. After I returned to the sect, I sent potions and pills to her so she could use them to earn the support of elders and some influential disciples. 3 days ago she sent me a message that she has been convincing people to join her and so far everything's going well. Probably Matthias had forgotten about you in the midst of saving his seat. Make sure Ella stay alive, it's most likely that Matthias wouldn't go down without a fight. Gaia simply nodded hearing him. How's the construction work of our restaurant going on? Pretty well actually. We had no ambushes after the first Reaper's attack so it's going on at full speed. The dwarf said the restaurant will be finished by the start of next week. And oh, Olivia is staying with Claire and just like I said, Aragoth built a mini portal for her to travel between Aragoth and here. Now we have Aragoth and a soul refiner to protect our sect, so we should speed up the renovations and stuff. She felt excited thinking about how rich they would be after making Sunrise Sect one of the best sects in Elon. Yes, we have a lot of work to do. Chapter 179. After leaving the warmth of the house, he stepped outside into the bone-chilling cold and saw Cindy and her group making a snowman. When the little girl saw him, she dropped the snow in her hand, running towards him. As usual, she threw herself with utmost trust that he would catch her. You gained some weight, Cindy. I can barely lift you. Michael pretended to be struggling as the little girl laughed. I've grown stronger. Teacher Claire said I would soon reach the foundation stage. She flexed her biceps before locking her gaze with the baby dragon. Her eyes sparkled as she reached her hands out to grab Nightmare. Brother, can I please hug him? She pleaded to Michael, seeing Nightmare swiftly avoiding her little hands. Come on, Nightmare, don't disappoint a cute little fudge like Cindy. Yeah, be a good pet. Gaia chuckled, embarrassing Nightmare, but before he could do or say anything, Michael gently grabbed the little dragon and handed him over to Cindy. He's such cutie. Cindy squeezed him against her chest, showering Nightmare with kisses. Come on, little human, stop it. But no matter how hard he protested, Cindy did not stop kissing him. Who would have thought a terrifying dragon would be showered with kisses by a little girl? Nightmare pleadingly looked at Michael, asking him wordlessly to save him from this embarrassment. However, this scene was too cute for Michael to stop. He just carried Cindy in his arms, walking towards the herbal garden to plant the new rare herbs he picked from the treacherous ocean. On his way to the herbal garden, he noticed the renovation work was 70% completed and ready to move on to constructing new buildings. A couple of disciples ran through the snow carrying firewood from the nearby forest to their student quarters. How are you doing, senior? Greetings, Sister Elia. Hiya, Cindy. The disciples happily greeted them before continuing their work. None of them seemed to notice Michael's cultivation level though, or they would have freaked out immediately. He noticed the disciples weren't wearing suitable clothes for winter but wearing their usual uniforms. Thinking about this, he just nodded at them with a smile while Cindy gave them a short wave as she was busy squeezing Nightmare. After strolling through the snow, Michael came to his herbal garden where a group of disciples shoveled the snow from the garden under the supervision of Elder Reiner. Just like the disciples he met before, the disciples who were working in the garden too did not wear winter clothes, and even Elder Reiner wore normal clothes. Although a cultivator could use arch energy to keep the body temperature unchanged, it was a waste of energy to constantly use it to keep the body warm rather than just simply wearing suitable clothes. Even Michael felt it would be a waste of energy to keep his body warm using arch energy rather than wearing winter clothes. Yet until he could actually buy some winter clothes, he had no choice but to use arch energy so he wouldn't freeze to death in this climate. Ghost, you're back. I heard what happened to the baby dragon. Is he alright now? Elder Reiner's eyes were filled with concern and worry. He quickly placed his palm on the baby dragon's head like he's checking the baby dragon's body temperature. Humans, save me. Elder Reiner took back his hand in lightning fast and stared at the baby dragon, trembling in shock. So it's true, even the baby dragons can communicate using human tongue? Of course I can talk, now help me, human. Nightmare tried to get out of Cindy's clutches by asking Elder Reiner to save him. Come here, little fellow. Let me hug him just a little more. Nightmare sighed in relief, but to his shock, Elder Reiner too acted like Cindy, squeezing him before kissing him on the forehead. What is with you humans? Squeezing me? Elder Reiner, I bought some new herbs, how about we plant them now? Really? Here, take him. Elder Reiner's face brightened up in excitement. He quickly gave back Nightmare to Cindy before Nightmare could escape. I assume you took them from the treacherous ocean, Elder Reiner calmly asked, and his calmness really surprised both Gaia and Michael. Yes, Elder Reiner. You seem awfully calm about that, Michael said. Elder Reiner just patted Michael on the shoulder. Young bloods like you need to take risks like that. Besides, I knew you would survive that place. It was a breath of fresh air for Michael to see Elder Reiner act so calm even after hearing that he went to the treacherous ocean. The vote of confidence made Michael like Elder Reiner more than the other elders. Elder Reiner, where are the other elders? And have you seen Claire? Gaia asked, doubting that Elder Reiner still has no idea about the return of Claire's grandfather. They are in seclusion. I think they won't be available for another 3 days, and Claire, she's in her home. Why do you ask? Because the previous sect leader, Christopher Marigold, is not dead and he's with sect leader Claire right now. Elder Reiner halted his steps as a sliver of cold chill ran through his spine. His usual smile instantly vanished from his face and replaced by a mix of complicated emotions. No. It can't be. How? It's true, Elder Reiner. Whoa. Elder Reiner stumbled on Michael as he quickly grabbed the old man to steady him. You, get your ass over here, Gaia shouted at one of the disciples shoveling snow. Not only the one who was summoned by Gaia but also every disciple who was working in the garden came running to Elder Reiner when they saw Michael holding Elder Reiner's weak body. Grandpa Reiner, what happened to you? Cindy stopped petting Nightmare, looking at Elder Reiner, her eyes already started to well up in tears. This is why you never break shocking news to elders too suddenly, Elia, Gaia shrugged hearing Michael. Yeah, you dumb, you almost killed that old human. Nightmare did not let go of this opportunity to mock her while hovering above her head. Ghost, how? Where? Elder Reiner asked in a weak voice. I think it's better if you ask the previous sect leader himself, Elder Reiner, Michael said as Elder Reiner slowly regained his normal composure to go meet the previous sect leader himself. Do you think I should break the news to Elder Sandra? Gaia laughed, thinking that she almost gave a heart attack to Elder Reiner. The old man's reaction saddened and shocked the others, but for her, it was funny. No, you shouldn't, Michael said before slapping the back of her head. Plop. Jerk. After Elder Reiner went to meet Christopher and Claire, Michael stepped into his garden and planted all the new herbs he brought, such as blue camellia, mountain saffron, ivory dill, autumn leaves, worm mustard, and many others. Since the disciples did not know much about herbs, they couldn't recognize the value of the herbs they were planting along with Michael. However, Gaia recognized a few of the rare herbs such as blue camellia, and bounced up and down in excitement thinking about how much money they would make by selling the herbs to nobles and alchemists. If I can eat that, Ghosty, I can definitely reach Foundation Stage Level 3 in a few weeks. Nightmare sniffed the ivory dill with sparkling eyes only to get swatted by Michael. Go away, it's not for you to eat, not yet. Gaia laughed at Nightmare getting chased away by Michael leisurely sitting on her chair without helping Michael in the garden works. That was intense. While Michael was gently planting the herbs, he saw Jack walking into the garden flabbergasted. I've never seen sect leader Claire cry like that. Jack sighed sitting on the ground near her feet. Did you see Elder Reiner? Yeah, he's currently with sect leader Christopher. Brother Ghost, Sister Elia, do you think sect leader Claire would step down from her position? The disciples working with Michael looked at him waiting for his answer. I don't know, but I guess sect leader Christopher won't take the position even if sect leader Claire decided to give him. Michael said like it was only his guess, but deep down he knew Christopher wouldn't take the sect leader position as he has more important things to worry about, like searching for a permanent way to lift the curse and rescue Claire's mother from the elves. Since Michael had to face the great clans anyways, he planned to use Claire's mother as an excuse to fight the elves unless they choose to stay the fuck out of his way of conquering this world. Jack, I need you to hit Bradford and buy these things for me. Michael gave the list of things he needed to build his secret weapon to beat all the Guardians and the church. When he finished building what he's planning, the church, the Guardians, and all of the nobles in Gaia's hit list wouldn't even know what hit them. The time for relaxation was over, and after returning to Abyssal, the time for bloody action would begin and Lucifer's name would spread through the entire kingdom. Take the Pegasus and also, Michael handed over the list to Jack before turning to look at all the disciples. Bring the biggest cloth merchant in Bredia to me. Hi readers, as usual, this chapter is about the little things that would make the story flow flawlessly. From the next surprising arc will begin, and trust me, it's going to be one hell of a ride packed with action and adventure. Chapter 180. When the sun's light faded away and the darkness surrounded the mountains, Michael and Gaia left their home through the back door. They informed Jack that they are going to secluded Cultivation and not to be disturbed. After reaching the core formation stage, Michael's flying speed increased significantly. It only took them 5 hours to reach the dark forest. No matter how many times I enter this place, it still gives me the creeps, Gaia said, staring at the dark walls of the Abyssal. The winter climate blanketed everything in white snow except the dark forest, as not a single drop of snow could be seen in the forest. As usual, the dark storm clouds hovered over the forest with continuous flashing purple streaks of lightning. It was a domain that stood independently, radiating an evil vibe, a vibe that could be even compared to the treacherous ocean. This is home, Dark Queen, Michael, who was now adorning Lucifer's armor, said. He truly did feel at home, much as he did when he was at the sect. To be honest, he liked Abyssal more because here he was himself. Deep down he knew Ghost was just a facade and Lucifer is the real him. Michael did not waste any time interacting with Delar but went straight to his room on the far end of the underground. Dickie would love this place. Gaia jumped onto the bed that Michael bought from the system and placed it in his room, which was used by her more than him. His room had not many things and seemed empty. Only a few things occupied the space, such as a large table and a comfy chair, 2 6-feet-tall book racks, and a spacious fancy black bed. We can't bring him here. Anyone with half a brain could connect Nightmare to Ghost and guess Ghost is Lucifer, Michael said, sitting before the large table to build things. Leisurely supporting her head using her hand, Gaia stared curiously at him to see what he was up to. Michael willed the system to take out the things Jack bought for him. Soon afterward, on the table appeared a stack of mirrors. Each individual mirror was the size of a 24-inch monitor. What do you want to do with all these mirrors? See yourself from various angles? Gaia chuckled. We are going to see the entire Bredia behind the black mask. Gaia was stunned to hear his words. She quickly stood up and came closer to see him applying a grayish glue-like substance on one side of the mirrors. Let me help too, she said, taking another brush from the table to apply the grayish substance on the mirrors just like he does. What do you mean by seeing the entire Bredia? While applying the glue, Gaia asked Michael. It's easier to show than explain. Michael continued to apply the glue. After a few minutes, Michael used the arch energy to lift the mirrors before placing them one after another on the wall before him. In just a few seconds, the entire wall was filled with mirrors and reflected nothing but the images of Gaia and Michael. Now what? Now I'm going to build an army of spies. Gaia's face was full of wonder and confusion, but before she could ask a question, she saw him take out a big chunk of metal or cogs and gears and quite a few other items. Junk metal. In a single glance at the metal ore, she identified it as the junk metal. She took the metal ore in her hands, staring at Michael wordlessly, asking him why did he buy this ore of useless metal. Why do you call this a junk metal? Because it has no arch energy radiation? Michael asked without showing any emotions, but inside he was laughing at the people of this world, thinking about their ignorance. Duh, the junk metal, as its name suggests, had no use whatsoever because unlike everything in this world that radiates at least a bit of arch energy, the junk metal did not have the ability to contain arch energy. Since it contained no arch energy, the bond between the molecules was extremely weak for a metal. In other words, it did not possess the strength of an average metal, and it was barely considered as a metal in this world. Tell me how the defense spells and arrays work? What? You already know that. Just enlighten me. One could see her roll her eyes if it wasn't for the mask, yet she sighed and explained to him. It's simple actually. The defense security spells and arrays work by detecting the concentration of arch energy. For instance, a rare security array would usually detect anyone at or above the body strengthening stage except the people who have the mark that prevent array or spells from activating. As for the lifeless things, the array or spell would remember everything around its effective area when it was initially cast, and if something new entered its space, it would identify the thing as an unknown object and activate the countermeasures as well as inform the one who cast the spell and guards. Her words reminded Michael of his previous life. As an assassin, he often had to deal with security technologies like motion sensors, security cameras, heat sensors, and many more. In a sense, these security arrays and defense spells were the same but extremely deadlier and effective than the security on Earth. In this world, a cultivator radiated arch energy, and no matter how powerful a cultivator becomes, one could never stop the arch energy radiating from the body. In fact, the more powerful one becomes, the more the arch energy she would radiate. As Gaia explained, the arrays and spells work by detecting the arch energy radiated from the body or a thing. This was why the assassins or thieves in this world had a hard time infiltrating and killing high-profile targets like the king or ministers, and often tried to kill the targets outside their stronghold. Since the spell or the array would activate in a very short amount of time, even killing the target from a distance using a powerful bow was not an option for assassins in this world. Now tell me, if I throw this junk metal into a security array, do you think it would activate the array? Of course not. And do you think someone hasn't tried making an arrow out of the junk metal and killing someone from a distance? Gaia asked, emphasizing the word you. Michael just calmly shook his head. Of course, he knew someone might have tried to use this junk metal's trait to break the security spells or array. However, they did not have a system and an inventor trait to breach the security. Just watch. Anticipation made Gaia jump on the table and sit there staring at what he's doing. Before starting to build his army of spies, he took a 1-foot-long tubular metal and a few other parts that had runes on them. Most of these parts were used to assemble magical objects such as carriages, weapons, and tools used by people of various professions. Therefore, he could directly buy the parts rather than custom building them. After looking at him assembling the parts and gluing them together, she saw him taking the junk metal ore and placing them before him. Under Gaia's gaze, Michael gently caressed the long metal tube in his hand. It resembled the shape of a ballpoint pen, only it was 1 foot long and had a diameter of 3 inches. Let's see. Xianxia, holding the pointy end of the metal tube at the junk metal, Michael cast Xianxia as a bolt of lightning went straight into the metal tube. Wow! Gaia's eyes immediately widened in shock and surprise, seeing a bright blue color light appear out of the metal tube's point end, forming a hole in the metal ore. What is this? Gaia asked curiously. This was the first time she saw a light cutting metal with this precision and ease. Normally, she knew the blacksmiths would heat the metal using various means before cutting them, and even though it was a weak junk metal, Gaia could tell the heat coming from the blue light could easily cut many strong metals such as iron, silver, and gold. It's called laser. With this I can build my army of little spies. How? Her eyes sparkled, wanting to play with the laser like a child. You'll see. After successfully building a laser to cut the metal in desirable shape for his first big move in taking over Breedia, he had everything he needed to build little spy cameras. Michael's full focus was on the task at hand as he began to cut the metal ore and assemble various parts in front of Gaia's eyes. He felt like Batman who was creating Batarang in his Batcave. Spider? After Michael assembled his first spy camera, Gaia took it gently and examined it with eyes full of curiosity and wonder. The spy cam on Gaia's hand was the size of a shirt button. It had 8 tiny legs, and instead of 8 eyes, it had only 1 eye on the center of its head. How does it work? System, connect the spider cam to one of the mirrors. Before answering Gaia, Michael entered the system to connect his spy cam to one of the mirrors. He did build the spy cam to use arch energy and link with any orbs without the help of the system, but with the help of the system, he knew that he could create a state-of-the-art surveillance unit in Abyssal. It will cost the host 20 badass points. Do it? Michael experienced a tingling sensation in his mind after he ordered the system. Soon afterward, he exited the system to feel that he could control the spider cam using his thoughts instead of a remote. Whoa! Behind the mask, Gaia's jaw slightly dropped when one of the mirrors suddenly began to show her face. She stared at the mirror and the spider on her palm repeatedly until Michael gently grabbed the spider cam from her. With this, we can soon spy on the entire Breedia. Chapter 181. Wonderful. Gaia joyfully clapped, thinking about the opportunities these little spiders would bring them. She focused on the spiders Michael is building, but no matter how hard she focused, she couldn't even sense a trace of arch energy from them as expected of the spiders made of junk metal. One by one, Michael connected the spiders to the mirrors, building a state-of-the-art surveillance unit in the Abyssal. After building a couple of spiders, his speed increased significantly. It took him approximately 2 hours to build 60 spiders before finally running out of parts and materials. We have 60 spiders, so we have to use them efficiently. Can you build more of these, and how do you control them? I can control them using a telepathic link, and at the moment I can maximum control 65 spiders. The number of spiders he was able to control depended on his cultivation level. At the core formation stage, he could maximum control 100 spiders when he reaches the level 10. At level 1, 60 was his threshold, but 60 spiders were more than enough for him to spy on the important nobles and figures in Bredia. Since that's the case, I suggest we send some of them to the church, guardians, and the king of Bredia. It's my plan too, but we should test our little spies first. A devilish smile could be seen behind Michael's black mask, and the same could be said to Gaia. At this moment, the world had not one but two dark lords, Lucifer and his queen. The two of them were made for each other as they had the same target in their minds, Minister Jurdy. So what are we waiting for? Let's go. Gaia was excited to see the spiders in action. I have one more thing to do. How strong is your venom? The sudden question slightly surprised her. Anyone below my cultivation stage would definitely die if my poison entered their body. The weaker they are, the faster they die. What about the people above your cultivation stage? Core strengthening stage beings will be weakened instantly and would die in a few days if they don't take an antidote or a potion to counteract the poison. I'm not completely sure of what will be the effects to anyone above the core strengthening stage. Michael heard what she heard silently before taking out a vial and a few herbs he picked from the treacherous ocean and the sky garden from his space ring. Spit it out, okay, plop? Michael lightly slapped the back of her head when she was about to spit saliva into the vial instead of the poison. Why did you do that? Spit your poison, not your saliva. She punched him the shoulder and said, next time use the word poison, you dumb fuck. Oh, am a dumb fuck? Just give me your poison, your royal highness. He couldn't help but chuckle after hearing her. With the smirk on her face, she lifted the mask as her canines slightly grew longer like a vampire. Soon from the point of her two canines, dark green drops of poison dribbled into the vial, permitting a nauseating stench. After the vial was half filled with Gaia's poison, Michael conjured the alchemy flames above his hand and began to throw the herbs on the table into the green flames. Gaia patiently waited for him to complete the potion brewing. System, can you remove the arch-energy radiation from this potion? Michael asked the system, staring at the colorless liquid in the vial before him. It can be done for 1,000 badass points. 1,000 points, huh? Michael pondered for a moment before ordering the system to do it. Take it. A small layer of light that could only be seen by Michael wrapped around the vial before fading away from the eyes. The next moment, Michael could not sense any arch-energy radiation from the potion. It was completely colorless and odorless. What is this? A better variant of your poison? Michael handed over the poison to Gaia to inspect. She took a sniff and then stuck the point of her tongue to taste test it. It is my poison, but how can it not have any trace of arch-energy? I'm a 5-star alchemist with ancient knowledge and I'm awesome. Yes, you are. Gaia leaned closer to lift his mask before locking his face with hers to merge in a passionate kiss. A week after Michael built his spy cameras, at the moment in Royal Land, two cloaked figures were standing far away from a mansion blending with the surrounding trees. The mansion was located in a residential area of the Royal Land. There were no buzzing crowds. Line of buildings and merchant carriages could be seen in the area around the mansion. From the outside, the mansion looked old but wonderful. It was built with tan stones and has red brick decorations. Large, octagon windows added to the overall look of the house and have been added to the house in a very symmetric way. The mansion was square-shaped. The house was fully surrounded by glass overhanging panels. It had 2 floors. The second floor was smaller than the first, which allowed for a roof garden on 2 sides of the house. This floor had a very different style than the floor below. The roof was low and rounded and was covered with stone slabs. 2 large chimneys on each side of the manor poked out of the roof. Several large windows let in plenty of light to the rooms below the roof. The manor itself was surrounded by a gorgeous garden, including hanging grapevines, a pagoda, a pond, and many different flowers. On top of the beautiful garden, the manor was filled with soldiers in iron armor, people with staff, and archers. Despite the heavy snowfall and the cold, the soldiers did not seem to slack off. The patrolling units were strolling through the knee-high snow without getting tired. There was only one road that came out of the main gate, and except for a group of soldiers who were patrolling, there were no carriages or people could be seen traveling on the road. The 2 figures who were looking at the manor from the distance wore simple tunics. They did not stand out much, and anyone who saw them would think they were just resting under the shade of trees. Besides the 2 cloaked figures, there were a couple of travelers and merchants who were resting before campfires to escape the cold of the winter. Time to let the spiders out the bag. One of the cloaked figures took a small pouch from their pocket and opened the pouch as several little spiders in various colors jumped out of the pouch. Soon the spiders changed their colors to blend in with the environment like a chameleon. Some spiders on the ground changed their colors to snow white, while those that were on the grass changed their color to green. Creepy, but I like them, the other cloaked figure said in a feminine voice. Obviously, these two figures were Michael and Gaia, who spent a week flying to royal land from the dark forest. Since they were here to spy and kill Jurdy, they changed their appearance by changing their clothes and the color of their hair using a simple potion brewed by Michael. Let's head back to the tavern and monitor the spiders from there. Michael paid for a room in a tavern nearest to Jurdy's manor. After moving the spiders into the pile of snow on the road to the manor, Michael and Gaia began to walk in the direction of the tavern. The streets before Michael was blanketed with snow, but it did not seem to stop the people from coming out of their homes. He saw many fancy carriages running through the streets while people wearing fur-covered winter clothes strolling through the snow to their work. It took Michael a few minutes of walking to exit the residential area and enter the town square, where he saw the handiwork of fake Lucifer a few weeks ago when he was at Royal Land. Michael and Gaia did not spend much time on the crime scene. They swiftly went to the tavern and entered their room without socializing with the crowd in the tavern. Their room was just like any other room in a tavern. It had a bed, a table, and a chair, but the room was cleaner than the tavern he used to stay in the river town. Shut the door. While Michael was placing the orbs on the table, Gaia used arch energy to keep the door shut and prevent anyone from eavesdropping from the adjacent rooms. Let's see. Michael closed his eyes to connect the 10 spiders he dropped from the pouch to the orbs before him. Soon afterward, each orb showed the scenery of snow and a mansion in the distance. Michael began to control the spiders from his room. Damn snow, it makes patrolling so tiring. Shut up and do your job. We will be hanged to death if something happens to Minister Jurdy. While the spiders passing the patrolling soldiers, Michael heard their conversation through the orbs. Lucifer really fucked up Jared Gertie and his wife. I hate to say, but they deserved it after what they did to the Southerner slaves. Why are you shedding tears for Southerners? Those weaklings wouldn't be in this position if they were blessed with the ability to cultivate. Don't be an asshole, Liam. Imagine that if you were sent to another continent as a slave, that's a worse fate one could have. Minister Jurdy is one sick bastard for in the trade for Southern slaves. Michael hid the spiders in the snow to listen to the soldiers as they continued. Shh. Are you planning to get killed? Even the Guardians or the King have no problem with importing Southern slaves. What a bunch of hypocrites. As long as the slaves from the Southern continent, the Guardians are fine with it, huh? Michael snickered. The more he learned about the Guardians, the more he realized that the Guardians are not what most people think they are. Finally done with all the info fillers for this arc. From the Expect the Badass Action of Lucifer. Chapter 182, Fuck. I'm freezing. I cannot stand this. I'm going to use arch energy to warm myself. Inside Jurdy's manor, one of the soldiers patrolling through the corridors complained to his colleague. Keep it together, man. The captain ordered us not to waste energy warming ourselves. The soldier who complained reluctantly nodded, rubbing his hands together. Gary, that lucky bastard, was assigned to the hall where they have that cozy fireplace. Why didn't someone build a fireplace here? Fireplace in a corridor near the servants' latrine? Yeah, great idea, the guard replied with a voice overflowing with sarcasm. Creak. What is that? The two soldiers immediately stopped their chatter when they heard a creak coming from above them. Their bodies tensed as their gripes on their spears tightened. Squeak, squeak. Shortly, they heard the squealing sound of a rat. It must be a damn rat. Shit, I nearly wet my pants, the soldier who was complaining about the fireplace said, letting out a breath of a sigh. Hey, it's time. Look normal, the soldier said, suddenly standing straight without leaning on the wall behind him. The other one also did the same and quickly hid the discomfort of the cold from his face. A few minutes after they were standing straight, a group of 3 people in full iron plate and chainmail walked towards them from the far end of the corridor. The 2 soldiers felt the cold in the area disappear as an overwhelming pressure made their breathing heavy. When the trio of iron-plated warriors got closer to the 2 guards, they stared at the 2 guards in the area for a moment before walking away from them. Only when the trio disappeared from their sight, the 2 soldiers could breathe normally. Just their presence is enough to make breathing hard. No shit, they are core formation level 10 warriors. What do you expect? Creak. It's that damn rat. AG. Before the soldier could finish his sentence, a figure leaped down from above through the ceiling and stuck a dagger into the soldier's throat. The figure did not give the time for the other soldier to react. In lightning fast, the figure took out the bloody dagger from the soldier's throat and stabbed the other one straight through the eye, ending his life swiftly. After ending the 2 soldiers' lives, the figure dragged their bodies quickly into the latrine behind. The figure then pulled away the dark clothes as the pool of blood on the ground reflected an image of a young girl with brown hair. I hope this is the last time I have to kill. Arya stared at the 2 dead bodies in the ground with eyes full of pity. She then walked out of the latrine before sticking an out-of-order sign on the door. It had been 4 years since she became an apprentice of a grim reaper called Dagger. He was not only her mentor but also her master, the one who holds absolute power over her. In simple words, she was his slave. Unlike many other masters, he gave Arya a way to earn her freedom, which was to kill his targets for him, and eventually he would release her from the slave bond. Although he did not tell how many people she had to kill, it was still better than having no hope to get her freedom back. Plus, the fire of vengeance inside her made her do anything to kill General Quintus, who invaded their homeland and captured her brothers as slaves. She never wanted any of this but to rescue her brothers. She needed to become strong, and from what she heard from Dagger, she was blessed with a godly ability that let her completely mask the arch-energy radiating from her body, which would prevent the cultivators and arrays from detecting her. She still had much to learn about this ability and use it to its maximum potential. According to Dagger, Jurdy was running a slave mine in Kethen and said killing Jurdy would save hundreds of Southerners from becoming slaves in the Elon continent. Thinking about the slave traders, the flames of anger burned hotter inside her heart. With a cold, killing intent in her eyes, she navigated through the corridors to Minister Jurdy's room. "Get ready to go to hell, Minister Jurdy." When she came before a 6-foot dual door that had the words Minister Jurdy in delicate carving, she mumbled under her breath with a wicked smile on her face. 3 minutes, reminding herself the remaining time before the next group of holy guards came to guard the room. She knocked on the door before taking out a vial from her chest pocket in the maid outfit she's wearing. "Who is that?" A calm voice sounded from the other side of the door. "My lord, Lord Rickman sent me here with the potion you asked him to get." "Oh? Come in." Hiding the expression of disgust from her face, Arya opened the door to see an old man with shoulder-length white hair standing before a window. The old man turned his gaze away from the windows with a kind smile. If one did not know about the true nature of the old man, they wouldn't think of him as the notorious slave trader and a man who loved to abuse young slaves on a daily basis. The kind smile on his face even made Arya wonder if this really Minister Jurdy she read about in a file Dagger gave her. "Give me the potion." However, her doubt disappeared when she saw the kind smile turning into a wicked smile looking at the sky-blue potion in her hands. "Yes, my lord, this is just what I need right now." The old man grabbed his crotch, wickedly smiling at Arya. If Michael was, he would have recognized the potion. It was the potion that most of the old men at his age desire, the lizard's dream, which was used to temporarily cure erectile dysfunction and increase stamina. This potion would give him the ability to wash away the sorrow of losing his cousin. He had to pay a hefty sum to get his hands on the potion. "Rickman, you bastard, you really know what I want." Minister Jurdy took the potion from Arya's hands like it was his baby before staring at her from head to toe. "Come closer, darling." Taking a long sniff at the potion, the old man called her. "Yes, my lord." She wished she could just kill him here and now, but Dagger ordered her to kidnap Minister Jurdy with the help of a teleportation scroll. However, it didn't mean she cannot stab him in the gut, avoiding his organs to vent her anger. "Do you want me to undress you, my lord?" She caressed the old man's thighs with her fingers. And just when Minister Jurdy was about to swallow the potion, Arya punched him in the balls. "Ah, dash!" The old man wanted to scream, but Arya punched him in the throat in a blink of an eye, shutting the old man's cry. After what happened with Nickman family head, she did not dare to waste any time as she quickly retrieved the teleportation scroll from her space ring. The moment after she tore the teleportation array, a golden light wrapped both Arya and Jurdy before disappearing along with them. However, in the heat of the moment, Arya failed to notice a small spider on Jurdy's shoulder. Somewhere far away from the royal land, Arya and Minister Jurdy appeared in the middle of a room. The room was decorated with cobwebs and dust. Arya could only see trees through the broken windows. "Welcome to nowhere, Minister Jurdy." From the dark shadows of the room, a tall figure emerged to greet Arya and Jurdy. Minister Jurdy was not a powerful cultivator, he was only at the body refining stage, so he was still feeling the excruciating pain of getting his balls punched. He growled in pain and slowly looked up in the direction of the voice to see a tall figure wearing red robes and a clown mask. On his chest dangled a medallion with a wolf head etched on its surface. "Master," Arira bowed deeply towards the clown-faced man and stepped aside from Jurdy. You did good, my student." His laughter filled the silent room with wickedness and sent a cold chill running through Jurdy's spine. Who are you? What do you want?" Images of his cousin's body and the victims of Lucifer flashed across his mind, making him think the clown is the infamous Lucifer. Are you Lucifer?" Jurdy crawled back in fear. Lucifer? Meh. People call me Dagger." In a blink of an eye, the clown took out 3 long jade daggers from nowhere. He played with them by throwing and catching the daggers like in a circus. "Don't worry about Lucifer, You are perfectly safe from him or her, although I don't think Lucifer's woman, Release me. Do you know who I am? After seeing he was not kidnapped by Lucifer, Jurdy was not as afraid as he was a second ago. Of course I know who you are, didn't you hear what I called you a moment ago? Dagger stepped closer to Jurdy while playing with his daggers. Although it's me who's going to kill you, it's Lucifer who would take the blame. He. What? Chill. Jurdy's voice was interrupted by the sound of shattering glass. Dagger immediately stopped playing with the daggers while Arya quickly took out a dagger just like the one in the clown's hand. Ah. Dagger turned his head to see Jurdy screaming in horror. His face turned extremely pale. Dagger did see fear in Jurdy's eyes earlier, but now the fear in his eyes was nothing like before. Go away. He was about to approach Jurdy when he saw Arya frantically swinging her dagger in the air. What's happening? Dagger was confused seeing his student act like a maniac. He looked around the room, scanning every dark corner. While he was scanning the room, he felt something moving on his shoulder. Whoa! He quickly grabbed the thing moving on his shoulder to see a flickering spider caught between his fingers. You gave me quite a shock, Spidey. He stared at the spider. The spider, however, suddenly exploded into white mist. Damn, an exploding spider. Without his knowing, he inhaled the white mist and began to cough. Cough, cough, cough. What cough? What's he? Cough. Welcome to hell, clown. A terrifying, unearthly voice appeared out of nowhere, making Dagger stumble back. Chapter 183. The clown was frantically looking around the room to see where the voice was coming from. Poch. Ah. While he was looking around, an arrow soared through the broken window and penetrated his right shoulder. Who is that? A terrifying fear began to sprout in his heart, making his body shiver without his control. Minister Jurdy and Arya already lost consciousness and Dagger could barely stand straight. Another clown trying to use my name to kill? The voice appeared again before the door exploded into countless pieces of splinters. Through the smoke of dust, Dagger saw not one but two figures walking out. Even in the dim lighting in the room, their red eyes shone like rubies. When the dust settled, Dagger vaguely saw that although the two figures looked the same, he could tell one of them is a woman as her armor was coveted to fit a woman. He's dead, pathetic little worm. She may be a woman, but her voice sounded nothing like a woman. It sounded animalistic and terrifying. On the ground, Minister Jurdy laid there unmoving. His face was as pale as white paper and blood was seeping through his nostrils, eyes and mouth. Although this human is weaker than this one, she's still alive, Gaia said, walking at Arya. My gut tells me that we should keep this one alive, Michael nodded. Since the girl was just at level 1 of the body refining stage, she should have been dead with the amount of fear toxin she inhaled, yet she was alive, which surprised Michael. He quickly retrieved a small syringe containing the antidote for the fear toxin and threw it to Gaia. While she was injecting Arya, Michael's gaze turned back to the clown in front of him. On a normal day, this clown would have given Michael and Gaia a tough fight, except when the spider exploded, he inhaled the mix of fear toxin and Gaia's poison that Michael created back at the Abyssal. Every single spider contained this mix of toxins. He did not think it would be of such use so soon. After he inhaled the toxins, Michael sent pure fear toxin into the room, resulting in Jurdy's death. Considering the clown was at core strengthening level 3, Michael and Gaia did not take any chances as she shot him with an arrow dipped in her poison. Dagger was already affected by the toxin that came out of the spider and the fear toxin, therefore he could not react in time to reflect the arrow as he would have in his peak form. Now the weakened Dagger could barely be considered as a core formation warrior. Death range. Even with all this, Michael still activated the death range. The very next moment, the darkroom became darker. I have a few questions, answer me and I'll let you live, Michael said, lifting the clown by his neck. Creak. Michael snapped the clown's right hand like a twig when he was about to ask Michael a question. I ask, you answer, not the other way around. Dagger tried to fight through the pain while sensing Lucifer's cultivation level, but he was unable to. Why did you kidnap Jurdy? After realizing he couldn't use a spell under his clutch, Dagger decided to spin him a story to buy enough time. He hoped either the Holy Guards or Guardians would come here to rescue Jurdy somehow. But again, he was the one who picked this place and surrounded it with runes in the first place to avoid anyone coming after Jurdy. I received a contract to kill Jurdy. Why is he laughing? Gaia asked, reaching out at his clown mask to unmask him. You're an elf. When she removed the mask, the one who stared at Michael was a pointy-ear elf. He had patches of red hair, blue eyes, and a burn wound that left a mark stretching from the top of the left cheek, running towards his right nostril and ending on his chin leaves a bad memory of his unfortunate past. Despite the fact he belonged to the most beautiful race in this world, there was something wicked about him. The burn wound, the way he laughs made Michael wary of him, and Gaia smelled a faint stench coming from his body. Yes, someone cursed this elf. Michael could not notice, but the Nagas were blessed with a heightened sense of smell. Therefore, Gaia instantly recognized the reason for the faint stench was a curse. I don't care about that. Who gave you the contract? Michael asked the elf. He couldn't care less of who cursed the elf or why, because the clown was about to steal his kill and use his name Lucifer to hide his tracks, and that punch dagger the ticket straight to hell. I don't know. Michael noticed the medallion hanging on his chest. He pulled the medallion in the other hand. You're a Grim Reaper, Gaia said. Michael did not forget that it was a group of Grim Reapers who ambushed the dwarf who was building Michael's restaurant. Then why didn't you kill Jurdy in his room? Why did you teleport him here? It's. Seeing how the elf mumbled, Michael realized that he lied about getting a contract to kill Jurdy. Michael broke the elf's other hand, and weirdly, he screamed and laughed at the same time. By lying, you're just playing with your own life, Michael said while Gaia grabbed one of the daggers lying on the ground. Let's just kill him and ask his student. She raised the dagger, aiming at his throat when he screamed. Quinn. Both Gaia and Michael were surprised to hear the name Quinn again. He was the one who has been killing the nobles and helping the fake Lucifer. System, scan Jurdy's body and teleport everyone to Abyssal. The host had only 2,000 badass points remaining. Scanning the body and teleportation to the Abyssal would cost the host 3,000 points. Would you like a loan of 10,000 badass points? Fuck, do it, Michael screamed at the system. A glimmer of light wrapped around Jurdy's body, scanning him for a rune or anything that would give the location of Abyssal to the mysterious person. Scan completed. The system found the rune of tracking in Jurdy's body. 2,000 badass points will be required to remove the rune. Yes, remove it and teleport us now. The familiar light of teleportation wrapped around everyone before disappearing from the room. Gaia saw the throne made of skull and bones and realized she was teleported back to Abyssal by Michael. She knew something must have happened for him to use teleportation without warning her, but she did not question him in front of the elf. What did Quinn want with Jurdy? Teleportation was an extremely powerful spell wielded by a few handfuls of people in the world. Even in the Elven land, a mage with the ability to teleport was extremely rare and powerful. The way he instantly teleported them made Dagger realize that Lucifer might just be the real devil everyone was claiming him to be. He did not dare to lie again, as his life was more important than Quinn's. He called in a favor. He wanted me to kidnap and bring him to the cabin. That's all I know. I swear, please let me and my student go. By looking in the elf's eyes, Gaia could tell he told the truth about the favor, but when he specifically asked him and the girl to let go, her interest in the girl peaked, because an evil person like him mostly wouldn't think about anyone else other than himself. I have one last question. Tell me the truth and I will let you both go. Dagger's body loosened up a bit as a breath of sigh escaped his mouth. Who is that girl and how did she get past the arrays back at Jurdy's mansion? Michael noticed a hint of reluctance in the elf's eyes before he opened his mouth to answer. She has the ability to. His voice trailed off, looking at Arya, who was lying on the ground unconscious. She was supposed to be his trump card and the way to rise in power, but now, he had no choice but to reveal her secret. Ability to do what? Hide the arch-energy radiation coming from her body. Behind the masks, Michael and Gaia raised their brows in surprise and shock. He used the junk metal to build spiders just for this exact reason. He thought a living being, especially a cultivator, couldn't hide their arch-energy radiation no matter what. It was supposed to be impossible. Even he could only hide the cultivation level from the eyes of others for a short amount of time, but his presence could still be detected by arrays and cultivators. If what the elf said was true about the girl, she is the perfect assassin for this world until Michael upgrades the system to hide his presence. Dark Queen. Michael turned his gaze at her without losing his grip around the elf's neck. The elf had no time to react before Gaia stabbed the dagger right between his eyes, ending the elf's life in a blink of an eye. Chapter 184, Ding. Subordinate Gaia killed a core strengthening stage level 2 cultivator. The reward is 300,000 experience points. The system's voice sounded in his mind. Congratulations to the host for leveling up. The current level is core formation stage level 2. What should we do with the bodies? We can burn this clown's body. As for Minister Jurdy, we need to use his body to send a message to whoever playing fake Lucifer. We should make the Netherals carry his body to Royal Land along with a little message, Gaia said. Unlike living beings, Netherals wouldn't get tired and the adventurers or soldiers would inform the church instead of attacking them. This made the Netherals perfect for this task. Plus, the church or guardians won't be able to interrogate the dead. Also, it would be befitting to send the dead to do the Devil Lord's work. Dalar, his call for the orc echoed through the dark halls. In a few minutes, Dalar came to the throne hall running, and when he saw the bodies lying on the ground, his heart skipped a beat. Not that he never saw dead bodies, but every time he saw the two devils, an overwhelming fear would energy in his heart. He had no idea that the reason for his fear is the fear toxin emitted by Lucifer in Gaia's suit of armor. Lord Lucifer, Your Highness, after a few moments of staring at the bodies in fear, he bowed deeply towards Lucifer, who was sitting on his throne, and Gaia, who was searching through the clown's body. One locked space ring coming up, Gaia threw the space ring she took from the elf's body to Michael. Michael caught the ring and tried to see the contents inside, but something prevented his senses from accessing the space ring. System, 200 badass points. He did not even have to tell what he wanted the system to do, as it asked for points directly. Take it. In a couple of seconds, the something which prevented Michael from accessing the space ring disappeared, letting him search through the contents of the space ring. Everything inside the space ring was ordinary, stuff such as daggers, robes, a couple of thousand gold coins, and few spellbooks except an ordinary-looking diary. Interesting, it was the diary that caught Michael's attention the most. He took out the book as Dalar's expression immediately changed from fear to shock. Dalar knew even though the previous owner of the ring died, no one could access its contents for at least a few days, but Lucifer unlocked the ring in a matter of seconds. Summon the Netherals for this month and send them to Royal Land with that body. While Michael was reading through the diary, Gaia issued an order to Dalar. Before that, Gaia ripped off Jerdy's cloth before starting to write a few letters on his bare naked body using her claws. Guardians, stop pretending to be me, Lucifer, Gaia chuckled while writing this, because even if the Guardians were responsible for the killings, this would still bring a lot of heat for them from the church and the Holy Guards. If they were, this would startle them. System, I need a firework that paints the words Lucifer is watching everyone in the sky when it explodes. After a few minutes, Gaia saw him close the diary and walk towards Jerdy's body. He noticed Gaia's handiwork on the dead body before placing his hand on Jerdy's chest. Where am? Arya opened her eyes slowly to see nothing but a gloomy dark hall. You're awake. The same voice she heard before she lost consciousness sounded again from behind, sending a cold chill running through her spine. Her hands moved towards her waist searching for the dagger, yet she couldn't find her dagger. She cautiously turned around, scanning the hall like she was trained to. She saw tremendous braziers hanging from each of the 16 basalt columns light up every part of the throne hall and blanket everything in a dark glow. A black fur rug split the entire room in half and was matched by the thinner ones on either side of the hall, while pointed banners with burnished plumes dangled gently from the walls. Between each banner stands a tall candle. Many of them have been lit and in turn illuminate the portraits of cloaked figures. Arya Geta of Weesight, at the end of the black rug, she saw a figure leisurely sitting on a throne of skulls and bones atop an elevated platform. The woman beside him wore identical armor, and both of their eyes glowed like rubies. She couldn't see their faces through the black skull masks they were wearing. The throne was covered in skulls and bones of various races such as humans, orcs, and beasts. The throne itself radiated dark energy around the figure sitting on it. Where is Dagger? She mustered her courage to speak to the figure on the throne. She could sense the absence of the slave bond. Dead, Arya followed his finger to see a body lying on the ground. With a flick of a wrist, the woman behind the figure moved the body as Arya saw the familiar clown mask beside the dead body and confirmed the fact that Dagger is really dead. Although she was finally free of the slave bond, she did not feel free. Her eyes then frantically searched for Jerdy because he was the only one who could answer her questions about her brother's whereabouts. Michael noticed her searching for Jerdy. Minister Jerdy is dead too. Her heart skipped a beat and utter despair hit her core. No. It can't be. Her knees gave out as she dropped to the ground. Streaks of tears flowed out of her eyes while making her eyes redder and redder. After reading Dagger's personal diary, Michael very well knew about the reason behind her tears, but he let Arya feel the despair before he could make a deal with her. You killed them? An intense killing aura exploded from her body as Michael saw the arch-energy radiation coming from her body completely disappear. He and Gaia were stunned by the sight of this. Arya dashed at Michael without thinking about anything else. She just wanted to kill him. Wind blast. Michael slightly raised his hand, sending a wave of wind to blast her backward. How far will you go to save your brothers? I know where they are. The blast of wind threw Arya off balance, but when she heard him, her body was tense. You have an ability that's very useful to us, agree to serve us as a loyal subordinate and he'll take you to your brothers, you know, where they are? She stuttered as tears continuously rushed out of her eyes. Gaia wryly smiled, thinking that it would be easier to get the girl to serve them than they initially expected. Yes, agree to be our subordinate and serve us loyally, you'll get your brothers, freedom, and many other things you wouldn't have even dreamed of. She did not care about anything else but her brothers, the only family she has left. If he could really get her to them as he was saying, she would be his slave to him to see her brothers one more time. Save them and I'll do anything you ask of me, Arya said. She was not dumb enough not to believe that the man on the throne is Lucifer. Although many people thought of Lucifer as an evil entity, if he could reunite her with her brothers, she would consider him as an angel, because ever since she came to this continent, she did not meet a single good person. As far as she was concerned, there were no good people in this continent, especially all the cultivators she met were rotten to the core. Take this and go to iridium mines in central Kethen. Michael expected this and prepared to deal with the scenario. He quickly retrieved the teleportation scroll he bought from the system, throwing it at Arya's feet. Your brothers are working in the mines as slaves, use the scroll when you meet them, it will teleport you back here, said Michael. But if you try to do anything stupid like escaping, we will look for you, we will find you and we will kill you. Gaia spoke like female Liam Neeson from Taken. The powerful aura she just radiated made Arya's body weak as she struggled to even take a breath. Arya picked up the scroll at her feet while Gaia walked towards her. This will hurt, Arira heard the words from the figure before she felt a sharp pain in her head. Gaia grabbed the unconscious body of Arya, put her somewhere closer to Kethen, Michael said, sitting on his throne. He did not want Arya to know she was in the dark forest until she became his subordinate. Michael also retrieved 2 spiders from the system and sent them crawling towards Arya. The spiders soon crawled into her dress to hide. If she did try to escape after rescuing her brothers, Michael planned to activate the spiders to inject them with poison, ending their lives, because no matter how powerful or unique she is, if she tried to betray him, he would end her life without a second thought. With the hidden spiders, Gaia took her to the teleportation array adjacent to the throne hall that was the only way of getting out of Abyssal without breaking a wall. Chapter 185 System Version 3. 0 Host. Michael Cultivation Level. Core Formation Stage Level 2 Experience Points. 0/400000 Badass Points. 6,500. Det 12,000 Badass Points. Skills and Spells. Wind Blast LVL2 Responsive Shield LVL3 Environment Scanning LVL2 Ignitia, LVL2 Lightning Dash, LVL2 Energy Devour, LVL1 Death Range. LVL2 Techniques. Swords of Destiny 90% Mastery Ring of Fire 54% Mastery Occupation. Core Disciple of Sunrise Sect, the Guardian of Sunrise Sect, Lord Lucifer of the Abyssal Status. Healthy Goals. Control the World, Rebuild the Order of Death. Utility Function. Banker, LVL3, Ratio 1000 Gold Coins, 10 Badass Points. Wealth, 1,670,000 Gold. Special Trait. 5-star Alchemist, 3-star Inventor. Subordinates. Gaia Warrior, Loyalty Level 100%. Raylene 5-star Chef, Loyalty Level 97%. Base of Operation. Sunrise Sect, the Abyssal. After sending Gay to leave Arya near Kethen, Michael was staring at his status page with a gloomy face. No matter how many badass points he earned, they would disappear just like that. The stronger he got, the more badass points he needed. Now that I have Majestic and will soon open the restaurant, I should upgrade Banker Function. 30,000 badass points will be required to upgrade the Banker Function to level 4. The conversation ratio will be 1,000 gold coins to 20 badass points. It'd be a good idea to auction some of the herbs and spell scrolls I got from the Nether Realm. Michael decided to go to an auction hall to sell some of the less useful items in his storage. He had many rare spell scrolls and herbs that would fetch a great price. Also, I have to meet Nathan's uncle. Deciding his next 2 destinations, he rested on the throne waiting for Gaia to get back. After waiting for another half an hour, she arrived at the Abyssal. I left her at Kethen's border. Do you think it's a good idea sending her alone? I heard security in the slaves' mines are pretty tight. If she tried anything stupid, she would be killed. That's why I gave her the scroll. Even if she had an idea to escape, she would be forced to use the scroll because of the security. How do you know about her brothers anyway? Surprisingly, that clown had a habit of writing a diary. Michael threw the diary to Gaia. Reading others' diaries is fun, she said excitedly, catching the diary. Do you know a good place to auction a few things? Oh, she sounded surprised. Why? I need gold coins, a whole lot of gold coins, Michael said, even though he knew that she would wonder why he needed so many gold coins. There's a Phoenix Auction Manor branch in Kingdom Kethen. They host high-end auction on the weekends. On the contrary to Michael's expectations, she did not ask him why. You aren't going to ask why I need so many gold coins? Michael was really curious as he directly asked her. She did not give an answer but calmly walked at him before sitting on his lap. I said we shouldn't have any secrets between us, and you still seem to have a few secrets of your own. I'm not going to ask you to reveal them all because I trust that you have a good reason not to tell me. Whatever the reason is, I know you will tell me when the time's right. Michael's heart immediately warmed hearing her. He just lifted her mask and kissed her full of love and passion. If the system was just a system as he thought when he first came to the world, he would have decided to keep the system's existence a secret from her forever, but he was proved wrong. The system was not just a system. He knew that in the future he will have to fight otherworldly supreme beings to protect him and the system. At that time, whether he liked it or not, he would have to reveal the system's existence because she was not only his soul mate but also a powerful being who could help him in the battle. Wow, that was intense, Gaia said, taking her lips away from his. Shall we return to the sect, my queen? Yes, we shall, my king. How dare they attack innocent people in the domain of the Winston family? In the backyard of Winston's family compound, Sabrina Winston, the second daughter of Lord Angus Winston, was barking like a mad dog. Calm down, miss. We have already sent men to investigate the bandit attacks. Samuel, an old butler who was serving the Winston family for many decades, pleaded with the young girl. Now that I'm back, I will personally bring those evildoers to justice. Sabrina unsheathed her sword from the sheath that was adorned with little blue roses. Please don't do anything rash, young miss. At least wait for young Master Noah. The young master said he's coming here in a couple of days. Big brother is coming? Why didn't you tell me this earlier? The anger within her eyes vanished instantly when she heard the news of her brother's arrival from Samuel. Samuel sighed in relief, thinking this would keep the young miss in the home. Then it's more important for me to get rid of those bandit bastards before Big Brother comes. What do the other guardians think of him if his own homeland was infested with bandits? At least let me put together a team, young miss, Samuel sighed. He thought saying her brother is coming would keep her in the home, but now he realized he just made her even more willful to go after the bandits. Ever since she was a little girl, she had a heroic spirit just like her other siblings. This heroic spirit earned her a place in the Holy Trident Academy, one of the best academies in the Elon continent for girls. Samuel felt proud of the son and daughters of Lord Angus like they were his own grandchildren. He watched Noah grow into a capable young man and get into the Guardian Guild. He watched young Miss Rowena, Noah's elder sister, become the Holy Maiden of Sky Hall, an existence that could be compared to the Great Nine Clans, and he watched young Miss Sabrina becomes the youngest disciples of Holy Trident Academy. While thinking about the three, a sliver of sadness emerged in Samuel's eyes, but the old butler quickly hid it before Sabrina could notice. Uncle Samuel, what are you waiting for? He'll go out looking for the bandits the first thing in the morning. He'll go put up a team to accompany you right away. Young Miss Sabrina sheathed her sword, rolling her eyes. Just make sure they don't slow me down. Of course, young miss. Samuel bowed deeply before leaving the garden area to assemble a team to go with Sabrina. Since all the reports he received mentioned that all the bandits were at the body refining stage, he knew Sabrina, a body refining stage level 4 warrior, and a team of body strengthening warriors would eradicate the bandit problems. Samuel, when will Noah arrive here? Just as Samuel was leaving the garden area, he heard a gentle voice as he turned to see Diana Winston, the lady of the house Winston. She walked towards him through the garden full of flowers. Golden, long wavy hair neatly coiffed to reveal a lovely yet worried face. Big, round golden eyes, set narrowly within their sockets. One could see a faint black circle under her eyes. Her face contained a gentle smile but also a deep sorrow. My lady, Samuel bowed, greeting her with a smile. Young Master Noah will be here in a couple of days. You don't have to worry, my lady. He'll always worry about my children, Samuel, Diana said, looking at the last of the sun rays at the horizon. Have you found an alchemist capable of brewing the potion of Phoenix? I've already sent the men to Lord Gabriel's house requesting his help, my lady. Considering young Master's status as a trainee guardian, he might help us. I also sent men to the Sunrise sect asking for their 5-star alchemist, but I don't think he could brew the potion of Phoenix. It's the young man named Ghost, right? Diana asked Samuel as he was surprised by the fact that she knew about him. Yes, my lady. How do you know his name? Maids love to gossip, Samuel. Why do you think he cannot brew the potion? If what I heard was right, he seemed to be a very talented young man. He may be a 5-star alchemist, my lady, but he's too young. He cannot be compared to Lord Gabriel, who has been in the alchemy fields for decades. That young man's age is only a quarter of Lord Gabriel's experience. You cannot gauge talent with age, Samuel. You should know this better than everyone else. Yes, my lady, forgive me for my ignorance. Since Noah was little, he would share everything with Samuel as he considered the old man as family. Because of their relationship, Noah admitted that he got the spot in the Guardian Guild because Ghost rejected in the first place. Although Samuel knew Noah would have gotten the spot eventually, he couldn't help but feel a slight bitterness towards Ghost. The old man's heart refused to believe that this Ghost is better than his young master. Boss, we received a message from our inside man. Sabrina Winston is coming looking for us tomorrow morning. Wonderful, let's see how that brat feels when I send his little sister's head and body in 2 different parcels. At the moment somewhere else in Kethen 2 men were plotting their revenge against Noah Winston. They prepared to give Sabrina a nasty surprise, but they had no idea that someone far worse than Sabrina is on his way to Kethen. Chapter 186. The Winston family domain's border was adorned with Mother Nature's wonders such as rivers, waterfalls, ocean of trees and grasslands. Until the Winston family's young generation, they were a small noble house under Duke Marvin, except now they had become one of the powerful and influential noble families in Penn Town. Unlike Kingdom Breedia divided into 4 baronies, Kingdom Kethen was divided into 4 duchies: Rosegate, Penn Town, Flamefair and Icefair. The main reason for the Winston family's ascension to power was the engagement between Noah and Alicia, whose family was the most powerful family in Icefair. The 2 families allied together against one of the oldest and influential families, House of Bellwatch in Penn Town, to destroy them overnight. House Bellwatch tried to engage Alicia into their family, but Noah ruined their plan, resulting in a full-scale war between the 2 families. In the end, they were wiped out and their properties were seized by the Winston family, which made them rise in power quickly. The young generation of the Winston family was extremely talented, especially House Head Lord Angust's children. The eldest daughter, Rowena, became the Holy Maiden of Sky Hall. The second one, Noah, got into Guardian Guild, and the last, Sabrina, became the youngest disciple of Holy Trident Academy in Kingdom Dreadle. At the border of Penn Town and Flamefair was divided by Maple Forest, a beauty beyond words. The forest was full of red, yellow and white maple trees. The forest was calm, their colors were depleted by the winter and painted with white. At the moment, a group of riders was galloping through the snow, disturbing the silent forest. The leading rider of the group was a young girl in her late teens. Her golden hair danced around her shoulder while her hazel eyes contained a hint of anger and resolution. She was neither too fair nor too dark, but she had nicely tanned skin along with the perfect structure. Her one hand was on the reins while the other was on the sheath hanging on her slender waist. It was adorned with little blue flowers, the iconic blue jasmines of Holy Trident Academy. She stopped her horse in the middle of the forest, staring at her surroundings. In her eyes, there was nothing but snow-covered trees, but the usual silence of the forest had become unsettling. "Young miss, why did we stop?" Despite Samuel's strong opposition, Sabrina only brought 5 body-strengthening stage warriors. She thought a large group of warriors would spook the bandits into hiding. "I know you're there." Sabrina didn't answer the guard but spoke while aiming her sword at a frozen maple tree 30 meters in front of them. "No point in hiding, I can sense your presence." The 5 guards behind Sabrina became agitated as they quickly retrieved their weapons to protect the young Mississippi. Well, I'm surprised." A figure wearing full white robes to blend with the snow stepped aside from the tree. Sabrina was aiming her sword. "Even though I was using a concealment spell to hide my presence, you still found me," the man in white said. "No spell can hide your presence completely. You should have known this if you went to a school or an academy instead of becoming a bandit." Seeing the man was only at the level 2 body strengthening stage, the guards behind Sabrina loosened up their bodies a bit. They knew that their young miss could take anyone under body strengthening stage level 4 regardless of her cultivation level. She was just a body refining level 6 warrior, yet the spell she possessed and the training she got from the Holy Trident Academy made her a formidable warrior. "Where's the rest of your group? If you surrender without resisting, you won't be sentenced to death," Sabrina said as the man shook his head, still smiling. "What about you and I duel? If you win, I and my men will surrender," the man said. "Young miss, something's not right. We should arrest him and head back to the manor." "Don't worry, Visor, I'll make this duel a quick one." Sabrina waved her hand at Visor, one of the senior guards of the Winston family. "But if you'll lose, how about make me and my men the protectors of the maple forest? We like this place." "I accept. Shall we start?" Sabrina asked, jumping down from her horse. "Miss, please ask your men to put away their weapons. I fear they might interfere if I gain the upper hand in our duel," the man said, looking at Sabrina's men. "Shut up, you lowly thief, you can't dash. Tell your men to put away their weapons, Visor," Young miss, please dash. It's an order. Visor was shut by Sabrina before he could advise her against putting their weapons away, because if they were ambushed, mere seconds of drawing their weapons back might cost their lives. However, they couldn't do anything against their young miss order. Letting out a sigh of defeat, Visor signaled the men to put away their weapons. I can't believe it worked, the man who challenged Sabrina mumbled under his breath. Although he knew Sabrina was not an ordinary cultivator, he still believed that he could defeat her before they put their real plan in motion. However, when he noticed Sabrina sheathing her sword, he frowned. Arrogant bitch, he cursed her in his mind. Call of Frost. The man cast the spell as the snow surrounding him vibrated violently before transforming into an 8 feet tall snow giant. Pathetic, Sabrina shook her head disapprovingly, looking at the rushing snow giant. Holy Trident Blade. When these 3 simple words escaped her mouth, a swirling tornado emerged from the ground between the snow giant and her. The tornado forced the snow giant back before settling down to reveal a 6 feet blue sword that sparkled radiance. The heat radiated from the blade melted the snow around as it hovered in the mid-air between the giant and Sabrina. Cut, Sabrina said, waving her hand as the blade cut the snow giant into 2 pieces, leaving the bandit man startled. The first spell was cast by a body-strengthening warrior, the second one was created by only a body-refining stage warrior, yet the latter obliterated the first spell in just a matter of seconds. It was because the first spell was an uncommon one while the spell cast by Sabrina was a rare spell. Normally a body-refining stage cultivator couldn't cast a rare category spell as it would require so much arch energy than a usual body-refining stage cultivator would have, but Sabrina was anything but normal. The last couple of seconds flashed across the man's eyes over and over again. He was already warned by his leader that the girl shouldn't be underestimated, yet he did exactly just that. She did fall for his boss scheming, but she didn't fall for his spell. Ice daggers, come forth. After coming out of his initial shock, he quickly cast another spell utilizing the snow around him to further strengthen his spell. His hands shone in glimmering white as the snow beneath and around him transformed into several daggers. The number of daggers were in between 50 to 60, all aiming their pointy end towards Sabrina. Visor and his men gawked at the daggers, fear and worry for their young miss riddles their faces. Yet there was no fear in Sabrina's eyes, only indifference. Holy Trident Shield, Holy Trident Arrows. She cast 2 spells at the same time effortlessly. The first spell created a translucent dome around her, and then the second spell created a single large arrow that shone like an arrow made of gold. Let's finish this, shall we? Sabrina calmly said, raising her right hand at the man. Following her hand, the arrow slowly tilted, aiming itself at the man. Enough playing, his boss voice sounded in his mind, letting him know that he should start the real battle. G.O. The man screamed as the daggers soared through the cold wind, except they couldn't go through the translucent dome around her. At the moment when he screamed, Sabrina thought he was only ordering the daggers, but the very next moment, she saw several more figures emerge from the snow. Kill them all! He yet again shrieked as a rain of arrows came down on Sabrina and her men. The dome kept her safe, but before Visor and his men could cast a defense spell or draw their weapons, the arrow penetrated them, ending 2 of the 5 guards' lives in an instant. It's an ambush. Visor screamed and rushed towards Sabrina, who was standing several meters away from him. While riding towards her in the horse, Visor grabbed a shield from one of his fallen comrades to shield himself from the arrows. Did you really think you could catch us with only 5 guards? How fucking stupid can you be? The man's laughter and his words were like fuel to Sabrina's anger. The veins in her eyes popped to make her eyes blood red in anger. Holy Trident Flaming Palm. The dome around her disappeared as a gigantic palm made of nothing but blazing crimson red fire appeared behind her. Compared to the heat the palm was radiating, the heat radiated by the Holy Trident sword was nothing. The snow around her vaporized and trees caught fire. A rare spell can turn the tides between a body-strengthening and body-refining warrior, but it wouldn't matter when a body-refining stage warrior fights with a core formation warrior. Suddenly another voice reverberated in the forest before a spear flew out of nowhere and struck Visor through the chest. Ice Storm. Before Sabrina could locate the source of the voice, a mini ice storm emerged from the ground before Sabrina, engulfing the flaming palm. Boss is here. Chapter 187. Sabrina looked up at the sky to see a man descending from the sky on his flying sword. He was tall and had sky-blue robes. On his chest, the letters B and W embroidered delicately. When Sabrina's eyes fell on his face, she took a step back in shock, surprise, or both. Half of his face burned, only patches of burned hair occupied half of his head. He seemed ugly and terrifying at the same time. It took her a few seconds to recognize him using his other half of the face. Alden. Alden Bellwatch, oh, you recognized me. People don't recognize me anymore because of this. He pointed at his burned face, screaming at her. Inferno punch. His scream echoed through the forest. It was hard to identify his emotions by looking at his face, but his voice contained uncontrollable rage and agony. A few seconds after his scream, the surrounding air began to become hotter and hotter, melting the snow into water and then vaporizing it. Suddenly, a burst of blood-red flames blasted Sabrina, sending her flying away 10 meters before her body hit the ground with a thud sound. The anger within him amplified the spell's power. The taupe-colored fur on her dress was completely burned by the spell, and if it wasn't for her quick reflection to block the spell by covering herself with arch-energy, her flawless skin would have been roasted. Kill them. Alden ordered the men, pointing at the 3 struggling guards. Stop. Sabrina screamed before trying to stand up, but she was too late as the bandits already slit the guards' throats. The blood oozed out of their throats, painted the white snow in red. They paid the price for what you and your family did to mine. I'm gonna tear you apart. Sabrina's mind told her that she had 0% chance to defeat him, yet the rage within her heart wanted her to fight. It wanted her to avenge those guards. Boss, I cannot believe this stupid bitch accepted my challenge and asked her men to stay down. The man who dueled with Sabrina chuckled. Although he chuckled, he avoided direct eye contact with Alden. Because she's too arrogant, just like her brother, Noah Winston. When he said Noah's name, the bandits around Alden felt the overwhelming murderous intent. They all just wished to devour the beauty in front of them, but after seeing the murderous intent in Alden's face, they sighed, realizing that she wouldn't be so beautiful when Alden is done with her. Standing a few meters away from Alden, Sabrina drew her sword. Her sword's blade was azure blue that glimmered, giving a unique aura to the sword. This is not going to be a one-on-one, this is going to be a gang-bang. An evil grin mixed with a cruel expression appeared on his half-burned face. Fuck her up. Really? The man dueled Sabrina became really excited as he looked Alden in his eyes, with excitement filling his whole body. Plop. Alden, however, slapped the man, wiping off the excitement from his face. Not literally, you idiot, kill her. Yes, boss. Facing 12 body-strengthening warriors and 1 core formation warrior, Sabrina stood firm as she knew escaping from them was impossible. Even if she used her lifeblood, there was no chance of coming out of this battle alive. I should have listened to you, old man. She regretted her decision to only bring 5 guards with her. Frostbite, several dozen spears made of ice flew at her from all directions. Her grip on the hilt tightened as she swung her sword, cutting most of the ice spears, but few of them already penetrated her. Her gray dress slowly turned red, especially around her shoulder and thighs where the ice spear went throughout rather than grazing her. I'm gonna send your body in pieces to your family so they can feel how it's like to lose someone they love. Pulch. Sabrina threw up, mouth full of blood, as her body began to turn pale. She could feel her body failing her. As her life was fading away, she just wanted to embrace her mother one last time. She wanted to see her family. When my brother comes, she stuttered, wiping off the blood from the corners of her mouth. I know everything about your brother. That's why I want directly fight him, but kill everyone he cares about, no matter how long I have to wait for an opportunity. I will strike from the shadows, taking 1 life at a time from your family. Leave her alone. Just as the other bandits were about to end Sabrina's life, a childish yet gruff voice appeared. The very next moment, they were stunned to see a baby dragon with shiny crimson scales landing in front of them. She's now under the protection of Nightmare. Nightmare puffed his chest out and held his head high proudly. Boss, that's a dragon. Many of the men behind Alden screamed in unison as they subconsciously took a step back. Although after the dragon clan disappeared from the face of this planet, there were still many dragons living scattered around the world, and all of them were extremely powerful enough to burn an entire city in a matter of hours. However, soon the fact the baby dragon was only a foundation stage level 3 beast reached their brain as the sudden fear emerged in their heart faded away. Who? What? Fly away. Sabrina coughed up blood, warning the baby dragon to escape. Boss, let me catch that dragon. We'll be settled for life if we auction this dragon, one of the men reminded Alden. They wanted to quickly finish off Sabrina and catch the dragon, who's just pitifully looking at them. I don't know where the fuck you come from, but this is between me and her. Get the fuck out of here, lizard. Alden was in no mood to catch the dragon or sell it to the highest bidder. After what Noah did to his family, he no longer cared for anything but revenge. If you can interfere with an honorable duel, why can't I interfere with your despicable attempt to kill this human girl? Alden gritted his teeth as blood already started to seep through burned muscles in his face. What will you do? What can you do? Alden menacingly asked Nightmare, conjuring a fireball in his hand. Nothing, but I have 2 buddies. Either of them can and will end your pathetic lives in a couple of minutes tops. So if you value your lives, I suggest you start running now. Sabrina's body now completely becomes pale as white paper due to the blood loss. She saw the world around her spinning. Dizziness finally caught up with her, making standing still a challenge. Kill her and this lizard. The men were disappointed with Alden's order as they wanted to catch the dragon alive. However, they did not dare to question Alden because he was the one paying them, and he already killed one of them by burning him just because he questioned Alden's orders once. They did not want to make the same mistake. Sabrina slowly dragged herself to shield the little dragon that tried to help her. She wanted to do one last kindness before dying. Stand down, you stupid girl. Nightmare sounded calm, but one could sense the disappointment and bitterness in his voice. Nightmare was hunting for meat when he saw everything that happened with Sabrina and the bandits. At first, he just wanted to leave them be, but the images of him chased by humans helplessly flashed across his face. He felt sympathy for the human girl. He wanted to help her just like Ghost helped him. However, he also felt pity for the guards. If she quickly captured the man before accepting the duel or brought more men, she would have had the chance to escape, or at least the guards would have survived by running away. Because her arrogance and overconfidence made her overlook the obvious ambush, she got her guards killed and almost got herself killed. Without giving her any time to react, Nightmare flapped his wings, creating a blast of wind that knocked down Sabrina. Frost Dash, what's going on here? Just when the men were about to cast spells to attack Nightmare, a calm voice sounded from above before Alden saw a youngster and a young girl in full black descending from the sky. Whoa, you're fucking ugly. The men behind Alden almost tripped on their feet when they heard the young woman comment on Alden's face. Dickie, what the fuck are you doing here, and who the fuck is this? Gaia pointed at the unconscious Sabrina. Nightmare already accepted being called Dickie as he knew there's no stopping the Naga from calling that. Core formation stage, Alden and the men frowned, looking at Michael's cultivation level. After looking at the dead guards and the girl, Michael could connect the dots to see what had happened here. Nightmare quickly flapped his wings, taking off from the ground. He then landed on Michael's shoulder before explaining everything from Sabrina's duel to Alden's ambush. For a moment, a glint of anger appeared in Michael's eyes, not towards Alden or his men but actually towards Nightmare. The baby dragon was not aware of this, but Gaia read Michael's expression like a book. Dickie put his name on the line. Human. We should help him keep his word. Get out of my way. Alden screamed after seeing them whisper among themselves, interrupting his perfectly plotted murder plan. Michael turned his gaze towards Alden and sighed. Look, I don't care what's the history between you two, but I can tell her family did something bad to yours. You have every right to kill her, her family, and do what you like, I get that. But my familiar here put his name to protect the girl, so leave her alone this time and kill her another time. Chapter 188. Despite the temptation of killing all of them, earning enough experience points to level up, Michael chose not to kill them right out of the bat and gave them a chance to escape. He did not want to meddle with Alden as he wasn't completely aware of Alden's background. Michael paid no attention to Alden anymore. He turned his gaze back at Nightmare, who was standing on his shoulder. You got yourself into this mess, so clean out the mess. What do you want me to do? Nightmare felt wronged by the way Michael talked. Take their bodies, put them on a horse. Michael felt no pity for Sabrina, but he did feel pity for the guards who lost their lives because of her arrogance. Do it. Nightmare was taken aback by the seriousness of Michael's voice. This was the first time Michael talked to Nightmare without putting on a playful voice. Okay. Nightmare purred like a kitten before flying into the forest to find the horses that ran away when the battle started. What about the girl? Gaia asked, seeing Michael walk away from Sabrina, turning his back on Alden and his group. Inferno wave. However, just as Michael was walking away, he heard Alden scream, casting a spell to kill not only Sabrina but also him. A big fucking mistake. Lightning dash. Before the wave of blood-red fire engulfed Sabrina, Michael activated lightning dash. The crescent moon-shaped flame did not stop when it hit the ground where Sabrina was, but traveled unstoppably to the place where Michael was a second ago. The snow on the ground was instantly vaporized as the trees that were hit by the flame obliterated into nothing but ashes. Whoosh. Before Alden could confirm whether his flame wave hit the targets or not, an arrow pierced straight through his chest. It was so fast that he only felt the pain after a couple of seconds. The arrow went through his chest. Boss! The men screamed, drawing their weapons and preparing to cast spells. They saw the young woman with the bow aiming an arrow at Alden. That was a mistake, buddy. Alden heard the youngster's calm voice again, but now, it sounded from behind. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 300 badass points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 600 badass points. Continued notification sounds rang in his mind. Alden's men were so confused and shocked to see him appear behind them in a blink of an eye. I gave you a chance, something that most don't get. Yet you chose to attack me, a big fucking mistake. Kill them. Alden did not waste any moment. He yelled the order at his men while conjuring arch energy to cast the powerful spell in his arsenal. Alden witnessed firsthand what would happen when you underestimate your opponent when he fought Noah, and he did not choose to make the same mistake again. Therefore he chose to use his most powerful spell. Lightning Dash. Michael on the other hand wanted to end the battle quickly but also wanted to increase his mastery over the Ring of Fire. Before Alden could finish his spell or his men could even start to attack him, Michael appeared at the center of Alden's men. Ring of Fire. Alden and his men felt warm energy pulsate from his body. With a booming and unearthly humming sound, a wave of fire many times brighter and hotter than Alden's inferno fire discharged from Michael's body, burning 3 bandits to a crisp instantly. Ding. Congratulations to the host for killing a body-strengthening stage level 9 cultivator. The reward is 36,000 experience points and 800 badass points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for killing a body-strengthening stage level 9 cultivator. The reward is 36,000 experience points and 900 badass points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for killing a body-strengthening stage level 9 cultivator. The reward is 36,000 experience points and 800 badass points. Ah, it burns. The remaining 9 body-strengthening warriors were squirming and screaming in agony on the ground. Don't let anyone escape, Gaia nodded before rapidly firing arrows that pierced through the bandits' legs, making them unable to run. Considering Michael's mastery with Ring of Fire was at only 54%, there was no perfect ring around him or pulses of flame waves and circles. The waves of flames chaotically blasted the bandits away. Frostbite, Frost Giant, Crystal Rain. From Michael's activation of Lightning Dash to Ring of Fire, everything happened so quickly. Only after Michael killed 3 of the men, the rest of them realized what just happened. They rapidly cast spells, attacking him with all kinds of objects made of ice. Alden handpicked 13 warriors who specialized in ice spells that utilized the winter and the snow. However, the heat coming from the Ring of Fire was so hot that it melted the objects created by his men to attack Michael, taking away their advantage. Poch. Boss. Ding. Subordinate Gaia killed a core formation stage level 4 cultivator. The reward is 150,000 experience points. Just when Alden was about to attack Michael, an arrow layered with golden light pierced through Alden's head, splattering gray brain matter all over the ground and on everyone who stood closer to him, including Michael. What? He was about to cast a powerful spell, Gaia shrugged, explaining the reason for her action. After Alden's body hit the ground, the rest of the men mostly lost their will to fight. They had no time to wonder how a body-refining stage cultivator like her killed a core formation warrior like Alden, except they knew this is no time to wonder. Damn you, woman, you killed him because you are fucking hungry. Michael shouted at Gaia before sending bolts of lightning through the bandits who were running away. It was you dumb fucker who forgot to get my traveling pack from Raylene, she yelled back while rapidly firing arrows at the bandits with deadly accuracy. Each arrow shot from her bow like a bullet from a gun. In the middle of the snow-covered maple forest, screams of agony reverberated. Each time a bolt of lightning or an arrow fired, it took a life. The splattered organs and blood had given the maple forest its red color, only now, the red was not from red maple trees but from the bandits. I don't know how a cultivator could get hungry. I do. Michael and Gaia were quarreling like an old couple as they moved around the area, killing the bandits mercilessly. Congratulations to the host for leveling up. The current level is Core Formation Stage Level 3. Now you're breaking through. Fuck you and your war god body. Hunger and envy of him breaking through by just killing people made her even more furious. Then why don't you go back to the sect and get your traveling pack? Michael Ayer quoted the 2 words traveling pack, which was nothing but all kinds of food prepared by Raylene for her. Maybe I will, she exclaimed. She put on her no talking with you face while Michael decided it's not very healthy to argue with a hungry woman. Meh. Michael turned his head towards the direction of the sound. He saw Nightmare leading a horse by pulling the rein using his mouth. Regardless of Nightmare's little body, he had several times more strength than an average human being. You two killed them all, You know shit, burn the bodies before someone comes searching for them, Gaia said to Nightmare while avoiding eye contact with Michael. While Nightmare was lifting the dead guards using his claws and mouth, Michael advanced towards Sabrina. Fortunately, he poured a healing potion when he initially used Lightning Dash to save her from Alden's spell. If not for his healing potion, she would have died due to blood loss. Wait a minute, I know that symbol. When he lifted Sabrina from the ground, Gaia noticed the blue jasmine decorated sword sheath. Putting her anger towards Michael aside, she came to check Sabrina's sheath. Luckily, Alden's spell still messed up her organs as she was still unconscious. It's a sheath given to all Holy Trident disciples. Where did she get it? Yeah, she was using spells that had the words Holy Trident, Nightmare said, putting the last dead body on the horse. Then she must be a disciple of Holy fucking Trident? I guess it's a big deal. After looking at Gaia's awestruck expression, Michael knew Holy Trident must be a very powerful place. Very. Holy Trident Academy is said to be the most powerful academy in Elon. They are so powerful that they would make Aragoth look like a declined sect. Interesting. Finally a slight smile appeared on Michael's face. Nightmare, did you find anything that could lead us to her home? While floating in the mid-air, Nightmare scratched his head recalling the conversation Alden had with Sabrina before his eyes lightened up. I heard that half-burned human say her brother's full name, Noah Winston. Noah Winston? Even Michael was surprised to hear the familiar name. He couldn't believe that he just saved Noah's sister. Let's bug his home. Gaia was excited and so was Michael. If he could bug Noah's home, especially Noah's room, he might give some valuable intel about Guardians and even make him carry the bug into Guardian Guild headquarters. Next stop, Winston's. Chapter 189. After finding another horse in the frozen maple forest, the duo began their journey towards Penn Town instead of going to Ice Fair where the Phoenix Auction Manor branch was located. To reach Ice Fair he would have to pass through either Flame Fair or Penn Town. Going through Penn Town would take 2 days while going through Flame Fair would only take 1 day from the maple forest. Since there were still 4 days left to the auction and the girl laying on the horse before him was Noah's sister, Michael changed his initial plan to going through Flame Fair. Gaia was unusually silent during the journey. She was still giving him the silent treatment whereas Nightmare too flew along with him without uttering a word. However, Michael did not start a conversation because he enjoyed the serenity. The path through the snow was narrow, not more than 3 horses could travel side by side. Trees on each side of the path were covered in snow. The quietness Michael was enjoying got interrupted by the howling sound of the wind that was followed by a heavy downpour of snow. He was fortunate enough to buy a long winter coat that was made of black bear coat, according to the cloth merchant he met at the Sunrise sect. The same merchant agreed to supply the sect with winter clothes. Michael was still considering the design for the sect's uniform as he loathed the current orange uniform. Claire was already on the task to design the new uniform and as a guardian of the sect, he asked her to make the uniform black. Even with a fur-covered winter coat, the chillness made his hair stand up. He quickly retrieved a blanket he packed before covering Sabrina's body with it. How could he let Sabrina freeze to death after saving her from Alden? Wondering what the uniform would look like, Michael gave a mild kick to the horse to fasten the pace. After passing through frozen waterfalls, trees, and a few buildings along the way, a vague figure of a city wall appeared in his eyesight. The heavy snow obstructed his eyesight. If not that was a problem, every breath he released turned into a cloud of white smoke, obstructing the view before him even further. As he was riding through the snow, he felt 2 soft hands wrapping around his chest. You can use arch energy to warm yourself, Michael responded to her burying her face on his back. I'm still not talking to you, jerk, she headbutted his back. Suit yourself, I considered taking you out for dinner at a nice restaurant in Kethen but meh. You're kidding? Nope, she was excited, tightening her grip around his waist. She never went on a real date with him. Although they spent most of their time in each other's company, Gaia always wanted to spend some time with him without all the planning, battle, or any kind of stress. I know a nice place in Penn Town. She moved her hands from Michael's waist and stretched his cheeks like she was playing with a chubby baby. Flying beside them, Nightmare just rolled his eyes and continued to fly towards the city gate. When Michael's group got closer to the city gate, a group of guards wearing surprisingly high-quality fur-coated armor. Halt your steps. The guard leading the group had a sturdy body forged in battle. His long brown beard imprisoned countless snowflakes, almost making his brown beard white. He wearily stared at Michael, but his mouth opened a few millimeters wide when his gaze fell on Nightmare. However, the sight of frozen bodies on the horse led by Nightmare turned his surprise into hostility. Dead bodies. The guards behind him quickly drew their weapons out. There was no fear in their eyes even though Michael, a core formation warrior, could kill them like stepping on an ant, as they were only at the body refining stage except the lead guard who was at body strengthening stage. Relax, they were killed by the bandits in the maple forest, Michael said, like he did not notice the guards at all. Although the lead guard didn't take out his spear attached to his back, he moved towards Nightmare slowly and cautiously to check the dead bodies. The lead guard conjured a small orb of fire to melt down the snow on one of the dead bodies. Soon when the ice melted down from the dead boat's chest, the lead guard's eyes widened. He frantically melted the snow on the other bodies before one of the guards behind him screamed, "It's the guards of the Winston family." "Sir, follow me," the lead guard said, taking the reins from Nightmare. The baby dragon was more than happy to give the rein to the guard. "To where?" Gaia's voice was grim, but Michael patted the hands around his waist, wordlessly asking her to calm down. "To the Winston family compound. Lead the way," Michael gestured at the guard. It saved him the time to ask someone the directions to the Winston family. The lead guard overlooked Sabrina on Michael's horse. This wasn't unusual, as the lead guard might have assumed her as another dead body. The guards opened the large metal gates to reveal Penn Town. The first thing that caught Michael's eyes was the tallest building in Penn Town, a clock tower that resembled London's Big Ben. The rest of the buildings were covered with snow, barely revealing their oak wood walls and birchwood rooftops. Regardless of the snow, the township itself looked gorgeous. Penn Town had a captivating atmosphere. There weren't many civilians on the streets that arched in organic swirls around the aromatic bakery, cheerful taverns, and other buildings considering the heavy snowfall. There wasn't a big jaw-dropping difference between any cities in Breedia and Penn Town. Majorities of the buildings were two-story, while occasionally Michael noticed 3- or 4-story buildings. The buildings were built very close to each other like train blocks, but the pavements were spacious enough to have benches and small places to sit and eat, to relax as folk went about their day. Michael followed the lead guard's horse to meet the Winstons. After passing through lines of crowded buildings, the Penn Town opened up to reveal its inner city where the prominent families were located. Shortly a miniature version of the city gates appeared before him. The walls were illuminated by torches and had archers patrolling on them. Ding, ding, ding. From the other side of the walls, 3 loud bell sounds reverberated. Soon, Michael heard the gates open as another group of guards walked out of the gates, led by an old man with neatly combed hair. He was dressed very conservatively and formally, consisting of a waistcoat, gray striped trousers, a white shirt with a Windsor cut, and a black tie. Without a second look, Michael knew he must be the Winston family loyal butler. "Captain Giles, what brought you here?" Although the butler's eyes betrayed his surprise when he saw Nightmare, he remained composed as a butler should be. "I brought some bad news, Samuel. Can we talk inside?" "She needs a warm place to heal properly," Michael interrupted Captain Giles, attracting the butler's gaze immediately. Michael jumped down from his horse as all the guards in the vicinity tensed up. He ignored the guards, taking Sabrina into his arms. "Young miss." Even the sight of the dragon couldn't make the butler act out of proper composure, but the sight of Sabrina lying in Michael's hands did. Captain Giles was stunned. He thought it was another body, but in reality, it was Sabrina Winston herself. "What happened to her?" The old butler leaped at Michael like a cheetah, checking her pulse. "She's fine, but she won't be if we keep standing out here in the freezing cold. Follow me." The old butler wanted to take Sabrina from his arms, but with the way the blanket wrapped around her, Samuel feared that even slight exposure to cold could kill his young Mississippi. Therefore, he led the way into the family compound, letting Michael carry her in his arms. "Move out of the way." The butler frantically waved his hands at the fancy-robed people on the way. When everyone thought the heavy downpour couldn't get any worse, it did. The wind caused walking difficult, as Michael felt like an invisible force pushing him back, while the howling wind made it almost impossible to hear the old butler. After the struggle with Mother Nature, they finally entered a building to see a spacious hall where several people who wore high-quality fancy robes occupied. "Sabrina. Sabi." From all the directions, Michael heard people shout at the girl in his arms. "Where is her room?" Michael asked before those people could swarm him like bees. "This way, up the stairs." The old butler led him upstairs. Nightmare saw countless eyes staring at him rather than the girl in Michael's hands. A few of the children were reaching their hands at him, probably to pet him, but Nightmare ignored those snobby little kids. "What happened to Sabi? Who is that youngster carrying Sabrina? Is he one of Noah's friends? He's so handsome and powerful." Even in a situation like this, Gaia could hear a few girls drooling, looking at Michael instead of worrying about Sabrina. The butler soon opened the first room on the second floor to reveal pink-painted walls. The wall behind the large bed had a rainbow drawn on it while a large life-size teddy bear occupied the corner beside the bed. Michael gently placed Sabrina on the bed before taking out another vial of healing potion from his space ring because by looking at the slight paleness of her skin, he knew she needed another healing potion. However, when he was about to pour the vial into her mouth, his hand was stopped by someone. He turned back to see the one who stopped him was a golden-haired youngster in his early 20s. "What is that you're trying to make her drink?" His voice was unnecessarily loud and contained a hint of murderous aura. "It's a healing potion, you moron." The youngster's tone pissed Gaia off as she swatted the youngster's hand away from Michael's. The situation was immediately tensed up. She was attacked by a powerful spell. If she doesn't take another healing potion in the next 2 hours, her organs will fail. Michael looked at the old butler instead of the youngster. He wasn't a healer, but he knew that her life would be in danger if she didn't take another healing potion. He really wondered what kind of spell Alden used that required 2 healing potions to heal Sabrina. Chapter 190. If it wasn't for Gaia swatting the youngster's hand from Michael's hand, Nightmare would have bitten or even used Dragon's Breath on him. Nightmare sensed a tinge of negative energy from the youngster towards Michael. Michael chose not to pour the healing potion into Sabrina's mouth but placed the potion on the table beside her bed. "Do what you want, she's your family. Please, forgive our rudeness, young master." Samuel quickly bowed before taking the potion in his hand. He then took a sniff as his eyes widened in shock. This is a healing potion and it's 80% pure." Michael had a feeling that the old butler might know more about alchemy than anyone else in the room. "What do you expect? He's a 5-star alchemist," Gaia said loudly enough for everyone to hear her words crystal clear. "You're Ghost of River Town, the 5-star alchemist of Breedia," one of the guards who accompanied Captain Giles shouted, making everyone stare at Michael in a new light. "Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 400 badass points." "Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 700 badass points." It was obvious that most of the people in the room had heard his name before. Otherwise, he would have earned almost 4,000 badass points just by Gaia revealing his identity. Only Samuel focused on the task on hand as he moved closer to Sabrina to empty the healing potion into her mouth. "Wait, what if it dash?" The same youngster who interrupted Michael shouted, but Samuel already emitted half of the potion into her mouth. It only took a couple of seconds for Sabrina's body to regain the rosiness. Samuel heaved a sigh of relief. "Sabi." Just as Sabrina's body was turning from pale to fair, someone screamed her name. Michael turned his head to see a woman in her late 30s. Tears rolled out of her beautiful face. She came running to Sabrina's side. "What happened to my Sabi?" She shook Sabrina's shoulder. It had enough force as well as gentleness. "Mom," Sabrina slowly opened her eyes. Out of nowhere, Sabrina lunged at her mother, hugging her tightly. Sabrina too sobbed continuously without giving a damn about the audience. Although she was a brave girl, she almost died back at the maple forest, which really shook her to the core. "Young master, what happened back there?" Captain Giles asked Michael. Everyone quickly turned their gazes from Sabrina to Michael, curiously looking at him for his answer. It was Alden. "Alden Bellwatch." Sabrina's voice contained a mix of shock and anger. "Alden Bellwatch? The heir of House Bellwatch?" Captain Giles asked while the people in the room seemed stunned. Knowing he could earn badass points by telling them what happened at the maple forest, Michael started to explain how he saved Sabrina without coming out neither too braggy nor too humble. The events unraveled back at the maple forest sent chills running through everyone's spines. The old butler almost looked like he was about to have a heart attack. His body shivered, not because of the cold but because of the thought of losing Sabrina, the little princess of the Winston family. Michael could tell Samuel is blaming himself for everything that happened, but Michael didn't give a damn. All he wanted was to milk as much as badass points from these people and bug Noah's room. Nightmare's actions may have brought him an opportunity, but it might also put him in danger if Alden had someone behind him, someone dangerous. "Sabi, what happened to you?" Another 3 shouts sounded in the room as 3 women in their early 40s or late 30s entered the room. They ignored everyone else, running directly towards Sabrina. Soon, Sabrina got embraced by the 3 ladies. Thank you so much, young master." Samuel grabbed Michael's hand, shaking it frantically with both hands. It was true that Samuel held a bit of a grudge because Ghost was a better alchemist than his young master, Noah. However, at this moment, all the grudge in his heart towards Ghost vanished away and was replaced with gratefulness. Samuel couldn't even imagine what would have happened to Sabrina if Ghost did not appear when he did. He also felt grateful for the baby dragon sitting on his shoulder. "No need to thank me, but please be careful next time." Michael patted Samuel's shoulder before turning his gaze towards Gaia. "Elia, let's go." Michael began to walk out, expecting Samuel to stop him. "Young master, please." Just as he expected, Samuel called out to him, stopping him in his way. "You saved out young Miss' life. Please let us show our gratitude." While Michael was pretending to be thinking about how he could politely decline his offer, one of the three ladies who just recently arrived came to him. The lady had a resemblance with the woman who came first. She looked at Michael, her eyes were filled with tears and gratitude. She grabbed Michael's hands, squeezing them. Thank you so much." Just as the lady was expressing her gratitude, Sabrina and the three ladies, including her mother, came to Michael. The lady who came first looked directly into his eyes. She seemed tired, a line of black circles occupied her skin under her eyes. Surprisingly, she took Michael's face in her soft hands, like a mother grabbing her child's face. "Thank you." Ever since he said he saved Sabrina, everyone was thanking him, but nothing felt more genuine than the words escaped her mouth. Compared to her, even Samuel's words seemed fake. She gently brushed his hair. "You saved our family's happiness." Michael did not expect such a gesture from the woman, but he couldn't help feeling a warmth in his heart. Both in his previous life or the current one, he never felt a mother's love. This was the closest he got to a mother's love. The woman in front of him was looking at him like she was looking at her own son. Just as he emerged in wonder, his instinct screamed at him as he saw one of the guards behind Captain Giles drawing out a jade dagger from his waist. "Watch out!" Michael embraced Diana before turning around, showing his back at the guard. The next moment, Michael's responsive shield kicked, and yet he felt a sharp pain in his shoulder. "Lady Diana. Diana. Intruder. Ghost." The room was thrown into chaos when the guard suddenly drew his weapon, trying to kill Diana. The guard was trained, extremely trained, as he was faster than everyone else in the room except Michael. Him drawing his dagger to plunge it into Michael's shoulder happened in just a few seconds. Even though the responsive shield absorbed most of the force behind the guard's stab, it still penetrated the shield, stabbing Michael in the shoulder because the guard was at the body strengthening stage level 7. Gaia lunged at the guard, radiating overwhelming killing intent that pushed away many people in the room. The guard took out his dagger from Michael's shoulder to stab him again, but Michael was faster. He protected Diana in one hand and grabbed the guard in the other. The guard may have managed to stab him the first time, but Michael wasn't going to give him a second chance. Ignitia, golden bolts of lightning emerged from Michael's hand that was around the guard's neck. Pop. The guard's scream abruptly stopped when his head exploded into a red mist like a watermelon. Ding. Congratulations to the host for killing a body-strengthening stage level 7 cultivator. The reward is 28,000 experience points and 1,500 badass points. Ah. Mother. Diana, Lady Diana. Various shouts sounded in Michael's head as his hand still tightly wrapped around Diana. Only after the guards drew their weapons out and confirmed there were no more assassins in the room, Michael released Diana, but bolts of lightning still danced around his hand, making crackling electricity noise. The sudden change of events stunned Nightmare. After seeing a human plunging his dagger into Ghost, Nightmare's heart rapidly pounded against his chest. But Gaia's heartbeat felt like it wanted to jump out from her chest. The whole room was dead silent for a few moments before the three ladies who seemed to be Diana's sisters surrounded her. "Lady Diana, are you all right? Diana, are you hurt?" Who dared to attack the Lady of Winston family? Guards. While everyone's in shock, Gaia leaped at him, checking him as her eyes began to well up. "Human, it's okay," Michael reassured Gaia. Nightmare was still in shock as no words came out of his mouth. "I'm fine." Diana was still shivering, yet she let out a smile and came to check on Michael. "You're bleeding." Michael turned his gaze from Gaia to Diana when he heard the gentle-looking lady scream. Before even Michael could notice his bleeding shoulder, Diana tore a piece of cloth from the cape hanging from her behind. She frantically wrapped the cloth around his left shoulder. "It was my fault." Tears rained down from her eyes. Many who came out of the shock were surprised to see this gesture. The lady of the Winston family tore her expensive dress to tend to a total stranger's wound. Samuel quickly glanced at the house guards, wordlessly telling them to escort everyone except the closest family members outside. Diana forgot about everything, including Sabrina's close death experience, as her mind went blank seeing the blood coming out of this youngster's shoulder. Michael could easily drink the healing potion and heal his wound, but he was already being led to Sabrina's bed by Diana. "Lady Diana, "I'm fine." Michael was surprised by her motherly love. The affection, the motherly love in her eyes were genuine and pure. For the first time in his 2 lives he was experiencing a mother's love. "You're not," she yelled at him again like a mother. Chapter 191. Realizing the woman has lost all reasoning because of shock, Gaia retrieved a healing potion from her space ring. "Here, take it." Gaia sat on Michael's other side, handing him over the healing potion. He was sandwiched between a loving mother and a caring girlfriend. "Come here." While Nightmare was gawking at Diana, Sabrina plucked him up from Michael's shoulder. Nightmare seemed he's still in shock as no words escaped his mouth to protest. "Lady Diana, am all right." "Look, the bleeding stopped," Michael told her again. Even without his control, his voice sounded extremely gentle. "Samuel, bring me healer Adele." Diana frantically shook her head, refusing to let go of his hand. "Yes, Lady Diana," Michael sighed. He initially wanted to spend a few hours here so he could release the spiders into the house, but now he realized that Diana is going to make him stay here for at least a few days. "You must be tired after everything that happened. Come on, sweetie, I'll make something for you to eat." "You too, sweetheart," Diana said, locking her arms with Michael's. She then smiled beautifully at Gaia before playfully pinching Gaia's rosy butterball of a cheek. "Meet my sweet mother." Sabrina finally let out a chuckle, neglecting what happened a few hours ago. Mushroom soup, bitter greens with tomatoes the size of peas, rare roast beef slices as thin as paper, noodles in a green sauce, cheese that melts on one's tongue served with sweet blue grapes. The servers, all young people dressed in white thick tunics with layers of fur, move wordlessly to and from the table, keeping the platters and glasses full. When Diana said she's going to make something to eat, Michael didn't expect she would prepare a frickin' feast. After seeing the various delicious-looking dishes on the table, Gaia's face lightened up a bit. The aroma radiating from the dishes overwhelmed both the dragon and the snake's senses. They couldn't wait to dig into the food, but they had to wait for everyone to seat themselves at the table. It was a long oak table that could easily let 30 people dine on. The throne-looking chair at the front of the table was empty, which obviously belonged to the lord of the family. Diana seated herself next to Michael, acting like a personal maid to him. Fortunately, Michael's plate did not have enough space to contain all the dishes Diana personally cooked. "Lady Diana, are you planning to kill me with food?" Michael chuckled, only to receive a slap on the wrist from Diana. "Noah is a really lucky guy." Michael stared at everyone at the table. The dining room was filled with laughter. Everyone seemed to forget what happened earlier and immersed themselves in nothing but happiness. Except for the youngster who stopped Michael earlier, everyone was extremely friendly towards Michael, Gaia, and the little dragon. "So Ghost, what's your plan on Kethin?" Diana's elder sister, Imelda, asked. Just like Diana, Imelda and her younger sister, Natalia too had golden hair. Although the 3 ladies were laughing happily, Michael noticed a tinge of sorrow buried deep within Natalia's eyes. Every time Natalia's eyes fell on the chair Nightmare was sitting on, the sorrow became more obvious. Her smile would instantly disappear from her face for a moment as her eyes slightly welled up. Natalia did a good job wiping out the tears from the corners of her eyes, but Michael noticed this without Natalia noticing him. The 3 beautiful women were so graceful that they could make anyone respect them in a matter of seconds. "We're attending the weekend auction and ice fair," Michael answered, placing the spook and the knife on the plate. "Buying or selling?" Imelda questioned him. "Let him eat in peace, Ami," Diana playfully yelled at her sister. "Selling, but if something interesting comes across, I might buy it," Michael answered with a smile. "How's the food, Elia? Nightmare?" Diana asked. Nightmare was surprisingly good at maintaining table manners. He did not eat like a wild beast at the dining table but used his claws to pick the meat from the plate and ate almost like a human. "Good, Lady Diana." Nightmare had a good impression on Lady Diana. He politely answered her, although it was nowhere close to the cooking of Raylene. "Good," Gaia answered Diana, taking a bite of the mushroom fry. "Good? Auntie Diana's cooking is the best." The same youngster rolled his eyes, making a few people at the table awkwardly smile because of his tone. "It's that they used to eat Raylene's cooking, Lady Diana. She's a 5-star chef." "Oh, what? A 5-star chef?" It took several seconds for Imelda to realize the meaning of Michael's words. "You are all welcome to the opening of our restaurant." Michael gave them an invitation as it would increase the reputation of his establishment quickly. "Of course we will. Now would you like some roasted pulse tetra?" "Do I have a choice, Lady Diana?" "No." The laughter continued as they all talked about some boring things, which Michael answered with either a smile or a nod. "He's just like Noah, isn't he?" Imelda asked Diana as Gaia almost coughed up the food in her mouth. Michael was the last thing one could compare to Noah. Accept your choice in dress colors, am I right, Samuel? Yes, Lady Imelda. Young Master Noah likes to wear white, whereas young Master Ghost seemed to favor black, the old butler said before stepping towards Michael with a bottle of wine. Water is enough for me. I don't drink wine, ale, or any kind of liquor. Michael surprised everyone at the table yet again. They all stared at him like he spoke some forbidden words. You don't drink liquor? Sabrina asked. Surprise and disbelief were written all over her face. Yes, bad for the body and hinder your cultivation speed. As a 5-star alchemist, Michael knew all about a cultivator's body. It was a lucky coincidence that his non-drinking habit was actually a good thing for his current life, as liquors affected the body, obstructing the energy paths in one's body, resulting in a slow cultivation level. That might be the reason for your cultivation speed, huh? Sabrina said. Michael could tell the girl had just taken a note in her mind and expected her to follow his habit from this day onwards. If you don't mind me asking, what are you planning to sell? Imelda seemed to like asking questions. A few herbs like cold grass, seaweed, ravenflower. Ravenflower? Natalia almost screamed. Everyone's gaze fell on Natalia as Michael noticed a glimpse of sorrow emerge on Diana's face. Yes, Michael's voice trailed off. Natalia, we already have a ravenflower, remember? Diana asked as Natalia sighed. It's just that my nephew has fallen sick to starpox. We had to scour through the kingdom to find the ravenflower. If only Lord Gabriel accepts to brew the phoenix potion, Imelda sighed. Michael noticed Diana open and close her mouth as she had something to ask. He had already guessed what that would be, but he wanted them to ask rather than offering his help. Sweetie, can you? However, Michael's heart completely melted before even she could ask for his help. She had this weird effect on him ever since he saw her. He couldn't bear to see the woman he just met a couple of hours ago plead. You don't need Gabriel to brew the phoenix potion. I can brew it in my sleep. The whole room fell silent after the words escaped his words. Natalia's face lightened up. She immediately stood from her chair before running to Michael. Can you? Natalia squeezed his palms. Gaia's jaw slightly dropped. She wondered what made her selfish human offer his help like candies. First, he almost risked his life to save Diana, and now he was about to help save Natalia's son. Their main plan was to bug Noah's room, but she could tell he was deviating from the plan. Have you got all the ingredients? Yes, young master, we got everything one needs to brew the potion. Wait, we only got enough ingredients to brew a potion. What if he messed up? I trust him, Jacob. For the first time, Michael saw the gentle-looking Diana turning into a domineering woman. The smile on her face was replaced with a stern look. Her sharp gaze seemed like it could cut anything in half. How can we trust this guy? Jacob protested, but this time his tone was not as loud and rude as before. It's that or waiting for Gabriel to accept your request. I think I don't have to tell you about the starpox. Shut up, Jacob. Natalia snapped. All the grief buried within her exploded in the form of anger. It was not a secret that starpox would kill the infected in 3 months if left untreated. Only wealthy people like Noah's family had the resources or the gold to get the cure, the Phoenix potion. However, the potion was extremely reactive. It had to be used in a few minutes after brewing, or it would react with anything such as air and lose all of its medicinal quality. This was the reason that the Phoenix potion wouldn't be available in auction houses and needed to be brewed at the spot by an alchemist above 3-star level. Weirdly enough, Michael had a soft spot for the motherly lady Diana. Only because of her, he decided to lend a helping hand instead of giving Jacob the middle finger. Chapter 192. Samuel, bring him the ingredients. Diana quickly ordered the old butler before the situation could escalate further. Humph! Jacob snickered before storming out of the dining hall with a few of his lackeys following him behind. Jacob, let him go, Imelda. Diana grabbed Imelda by her hand when she tried to stop the youngster. The previous laughter in the hall was completely gone and replaced with silence. They had never seen their kind third lady snap like that. Even after her only son fell victim to starpox, she never showed the grief on her face, as she believed her family would do absolutely everything to save her son. It had been 2 months since her son was infected with starpox. If they didn't give him the Phoenix potion within the next 30 days, there was no doubt that she would lose her only son. Now, where is your son, Lady Natalia? Michael wondered why Jacob wants him gone as soon as possible. He didn't have to act that way. Michael had a feeling that Jacob is feeling threatened by his presence but couldn't find out why yet. This way, young master. Enjoy the rest of the day, gentlemen, Diana announced, looking at the people in the dining hall. Knowing the meaning of her words, they all bowed and left the dining hall. Only the three ladies, Sabrina, Samuel accompanied Michael to Natalia's son's room. Considering there were no guards following them, Gaia retrieved a couple of spiders from her space ring before leaving them in dark corners of the corridor without anyone noticing. Except for Michael, none of them had a clue about the little spies in their home. After passing Sabrina's room and following Samuel for a few more minutes, Michael appeared before a door that had the name Andrew written on a dark brown oak door. Samuel opened the door to reveal an old woman was sitting on the bed. Beside the old woman, a blonde youngster sleeping peacefully. The old woman was applying a purple ornament on Andrew's forehead. "Healer Adele," the old woman waved her hands at Imelda as she was telling all of them to scurry off. "Healer Adele, we have found a 5-star alchemist," Samuel said. Only then the old woman turned her gaze away from Andrew. Soon she locked eyes with Michael. The system notified Michael of her healer trait. Despite the disheveled hair and rather normal-looking clothes, Healer Adele was a core formation level 5 cultivator. A glimmer of surprise flashed across her face looking at Michael. "Grandma," Sabrina ran to Adele like a puppy running to its owner. "I heard what happened. I'm glad you're safe, Sabi. You should have listened to Samuel and took more men with you." Michael ignored their conversation, walking towards Andrew to check on him. His memories from Abras contained information about star pox, and the Book of Alchemy he used to become a 5-star alchemist made him understand not only star pox but all the diseases in this world. Except for his forehead that had purple ointment applied on, the rest of his body was pale. Tiny marks shaped like a star riddled his body. Furthermore, his body temperature was jumping between hot and cold. "How pure will the potion be?" Healer Adele asked while Michael was feeling Andrew's temperature by placing his hand on Andrew's neck. However, instead of giving a straight answer to Adele, he questioned her. "How long has he been like this?" It was obvious Andrew is infected with star pox, but when Michael checked his temperature, he sensed Andrew's abnormal pulses. A patient with star pox was supposed to have a slow pulse rate, but Andrew's pulse rate was abnormally high. "For the last 2 months? And how long has he had this high pulse rate?" He was really curious as his tone conveyed his curiosity. "His pulse rate has been increasing since last month." "Nightmare, you can see energy pathways inside a body, right? Check his energy pathways." "What's happening to my Andrew?" Hearing the conversation between Adele and Michael, Natalia's eyes rained down tears. Imelda and Diana wrapped their hands around her to console her. Nightmare flew towards Michael before comfortably landing on his shoulder. His black eyes then turned blue, staring at Andrew. Everyone except Natalia, who was sobbing looking at Andrew, stared at Nightmare for his answer. They had no idea about Nightmare's ability to see energy pathways in a cultivator's body. Even Michael had no clear idea about the extent of Nightmare's power. To learn more about dragons he needed to travel to Azair, but for now, Michael had no desire to travel there. The room fell silent. All the eyes were on Nightmare, expecting him to speak up. Energy clusters are forming inside his body, blocking the arch energy from circulating his body. What does it mean? It was not Natalia but Diana who questioned Nightmare. Her voice stuttered and her eyes welled up. Healer Adele frowned, but before she could speak, Michael needed to do one more thing before drawing the conclusion. "Lady Diana, I need Daydream Bearberry, Putrid Belladonna, and Blistering Berry. I will tell you why later. I will get them to you, young master." Samuel left the room. These were all common ingredients found in any noble household, as they were used to treat common colds, flu, and wounds. "You think?" Healer Adele, however, knew why he was asking for those 3 herbs. Her voice trailed off. She didn't think of that particular possibility before. "What's happening to him?" Gaia came to his side and whispered in his ears. Michael didn't answer her but waited for Samuel to arrive. Soon, the old butler entered the room, carrying a tray with the 3 herbs on it. "I need some space," Michael said. They quickly walked away from him to the corner of the room without asking any questions. They wanted to, but they chose not to, except for Sabrina. "What are you planning to do?" "You will see," Michael would have answered her, but he planned to show off his alchemy skills to earn more badass points from them. If he told them what he's about to do, they would be more focused on that rather than being awestruck by his skills. The green flames emerged from his hand, lightening the entire room in green. He then waved his other hand as the herbs flew straight into the flames. Ding. "Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 1,000 badass points." Ding. "Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 1,200 badass points." He was laughing inside, happily seeing the increase in badass points. Diana and everyone were stunned to see him brew a potion without the help of the cauldron. He showed them that he's on the next level compared to Noah. Grandma, how is he? Sabrina's jaw dropped in shock. She questioned Adele. Even Gabriel can't do this. The old woman's voice was not loud, but it was loud enough for everyone to hear. Seeing that Adele addressed Gabriel by his first name without any honorifics, Michael realized that Adele might know him personally. He snickered inside because after establishing connections with more powerhouses, he would show his true potential to the world. At that time, Gabriel wouldn't be the #1 alchemist of Elon anymore, he would be the second. After today's events, he was positive that the House of Winston would support him. After all, he saved not only Sabrina but also Diana from getting assassinated in her own house. Soon afterward, a sky blue liquid formed inside the green flames. If this potion changed its color from blue to green, Michael's voice trailed off. He looked at Adele to finish his sentence. He was poisoned, as Michael expected. Healer Adele finished his sentence. Poisoned? Healer Adele, what are you talking about? No. The room was filled with the cries of the three ladies. Sabrina had an expression of shock and disbelief on her face. Michael waved his hand, sending the sky blue liquid towards Andrew before they could ask any questions to him. He was almost certain that Andrew was poisoned and wanted to confirm his suspicion. The Winstons were already in his debt, and by saving him, he would not only earn badass points but could also increase their trust. Since the House of Winston was the most powerful family in Penn Town, he wanted them as allies. He planned to use them to expand his business empire. The sky blue liquid spread itself on Andrew's body like a blanket. Natalia prayed to the gods, asking them the potion to stay blue. She did not want to face the reality that her son might be poisoned. However, the gods betrayed her as the sky blue potion slowly turned from blue to jade green. Diana and Imelda's hearts skipped a beat seeing the transformation. He was poisoned. Adele was startled. If it was the star pox, she knew a talented 5-star alchemist like him could brew the Phoenix potion to save Andrew. However, on top of star pox, Andrew was poisoned. This made healing Andrew a lot more complicated. Natalia fainted on the spot. She couldn't bear to face this new reality. Everyone was so stunned that they failed to notice the grin on Gaia's face. She was already planning to ask for a permit to open businesses in Penn Town without any taxes. By saving Sabrina and Diana, they could most probably earn the permit, but if Michael could cure Andrew, there was no doubt that they would receive the permit. Little by little, she felt less annoyed with Nightmare because if it wasn't for him sticking his nose into Sabrina's business, it would have been difficult to get into Winston Compound, bug their house and earn the permit to operate any business without paying a single gold coin. Plus, when Noah heard about Ghost saving his family twice in a single day, he would feel indebted to him. This might help Michael in the long run. Chapter 193, Sweetie, you can cure him, right? Diana wiped off the tears that were running out of her eyes. Michael was not a soft-hearted guy, but when he saw the pain, grief and helplessness in Natalia's eyes, helping this helpless mother became his main objective, and taking advantage of the situation became secondary. First, we need to find what kind of poison is in his body. A wrong antidote could complicate the situation further. Michael did not say kill him for the sake of Natalia, but everyone could tell he was sugar-coating it. Lady Diana, this is not a coincidence. First Alden tried to kill Sabrina and another one tried to assassinate you on the same day. Someone really wants to hurt your family, but Alden is dead, right? Sabrina asked. Honestly, the three ladies were in denial of the assassination attempt on Diana. However, Michael's words shattered their wall of denial. Where are the men? Gaia asked. She noticed that the majority of the people in the house were women and children, and Diana seemed to be the authority. Gaia wondered where Diana's and the other two ladies' husbands were. My husband and my brothers-in-law were summoned by Duke Slade, along with most of our soldiers. Is there a war going on that we don't know about? Yes. Duke Marvin is at war with Duke Avon, Sabrina answered Gaia as everything made sense to Michael. Since House Winston sent most of their manpower to accompany the Duke Marvin war, it became the perfect time to seek revenge by killing the people in the compound. They were basically sitting ducks to be slaughtered at this point. Michael really questioned the competence of Diana's husband because it was pretty dumb to leave his family unprotected like this. Noah should take care of his family before taking care of others, Michael thought in his mind. We'll be safer after young Miss Rowena and young Master Noah arrive. When will that be? Michael wanted to leave the place before Noah came. Michael did not like the company Noah keeps, especially Alicia. Besides, if Noah brought Zanali with him, it might jeopardize Gaia's safety. He wasn't going to take any chances when it came to Gaia's safety. Healer Adele, can you find what kind of poison in his body? Sabrina asked Adele, but the old woman shook her head. The poison might have already mixed with Andrew's blood. It'd be damn hard to find it now. No. Andrew. Natalia began to scream. Her cry reverberated the entire compound. If I were you, I would start rounding up my enemies who have the motive to hurt my family, Gaia said. Uncle Samuel, get me a team. I'll hunt down all our enemies. Like she learned nothing from today's events, Sabrina volunteered for this task. No. Well, ask Captain Giles to do that. Diana immediately rejected Sabrina. But Mom, no buts. Yet again Diana raised her voice, stomping the ground. Sabrina halted her steps in shock and didn't choose to test her mother's patience. Please, save my son, Natalia stuttered, sobbing in grief. I need to be alone to find a way. Michael did know a way to identify the poison in Andrew's body, but he wanted to take time to heal him because he trusted his instincts. Michael then stepped towards Natalia and squatted in front of her to take her hands. I will save your son. He then whipped off the tears running from her eyes. He was not a goody two-shoes who would help out anyone, but something about this family made him help them. Something deep down of him couldn't let this family suffer. There was still no doubt that Michael would kill Noah in a heartbeat if he stood in Michael's path, but Michael really wished he didn't. Besides, by helping this family, he could build a good Samaritan reputation that would hide his Lucifer persona. After all, many wouldn't suspect a good doer to be an evildoer in the night. Thank you, the three ladies said in unison as Samuel stepped forward to lead Michael to his room. Where did this bastard come from? Jacob was shouting at a figure wearing a cloak to hide their face. The veins on Jacob's face seemed like they were about to explode. He was shaking and walking from one end of his room to another. It doesn't matter. Alden is dead. We need to find another way to get what we want, the hooded figure said, taking off his clout to reveal himself. I know that, Giles. Alden is fucking idiot who lost all his reasons after Noah killed his family. I said I could kill Andrew without all that Starpox nonsense, but no. He said he wanted Noah's family to suffer. Captain Giles listened to Jacob's rant, stroking his beard. Now that he's gone, I can finish off Andrew before that ghost bastard cures him and moves on to kill Noah. Then, I will be the next lord of the family. Don't forget our deal, Jacob. My employer wants Diana dead. What's your employer's beef with that bitch anyway? I don't know the exact reason, but I can tell it's something to do with Noah. Of course it is. That bastard runs around pissing off the powerhouses, making more enemies to House Winston. He's more trouble than what he's worth. Jacob's face turned red as a fresh tomato in anger. Ever since they were little, Noah always overshadowed him by overachieving in pretty much everything. It was the sight of the girl he loved with Noah that snapped Jacob. When he first laid his eyes on the red-haired beauty, he immediately fell in love only to realize that she was a guardian who came to Penn Town accompanying Noah. Jacob never expected the red-haired beauty to fall in love with Noah. Although they acted like they were just friends, Jacob wasn't a naive kid to believe they were just friends. The tension between Noah and the red-haired beauty was obvious to him. Jacob now wanted to kill Noah and take over the family before the elders name him the next in line for the family head seat. Who was that guy who tried to kill Diana today? That was a dumb move, Giles. I think it was Alden's backup plan to hurt Noah. Good thing that ghost guy killed him instantly without capturing him alive. Giles heaved a sigh of relief. What are you gonna do about Andrew? I'd say let him be, he won't be alive in a month anyways. Jacob frantically shook his head, taking out a small vial of purple glistening liquid. I have a feeling Ghost might be able to save him. I want both Noah and Andrew to die. Only then I can get what I want without killing most of the elders. Is that the same venom you used to poison Andrew? Yes. If it wasn't for Alden asking me to use only a few drops, I would have used the entire bottle and killed Andrew 2 months ago. A devilish grin appeared on Jacob's face. What about the Phoenix potion? Didn't Alden say giving Andrew the Phoenix poison was equal to killing him? Yeah, the potion and this poison would react in some sort of weird way, killing Andrew horribly. Then let Ghost brew the potion? Why did you try to stop him earlier? Look what happened now. That fucking bastard found out Andrew's poisoned and currently making something to save Andrew. If he hadn't seen Andrew or tried to brew Phoenix potion, they wouldn't have found the truth. Now I have to finish the job. How do you plan to do that? Don't worry about that, Giles. I can poison Andrew in front of Natalia and she wouldn't even notice. Giles saw a glimmer emerge in Jacob's hand. He looked closer to see a tiny needle come out of the ring in Jacob's middle finger. The needle quickly retracted itself back into the ring as Jacob willed. Few more drops of poison would do the trick, Jacob grinned, pouring the purple venom a few drops at a time onto his hand. The ring in his hand glimmered again before absorbing the venom into itself. I knew something was off about that guy. Inside the room given to Michael by the Winstons, he and Gaia were watching Jacob and Gaia through the mirror connected to the spiders. Stupid fuck. If you want to kill someone, you shouldn't draw all attention to yourself. Gaia shook her head like she was disappointed in Jacob. It was Jacob's stupidity of messing with Michael that made Michael send a few spiders to his room. If Jacob had just stayed silent all the time, Michael wouldn't have suspected him in the first place. Although we know about Jacob and Giles, we can't go accuse them unless we say that yeah, we bugged your entire house. Only people like Guardians need evidence, Gaia. People like us, we create evidence. Michael took out a paper and quill from his space ring to forge a letter that was supposed to be from Captain Giles to Jacob, implying all the information needed for the Winstons to suspect both of them. Michael didn't worry about Guileless mysterious employer because that was not his problem, it was Noah. After all, although Michael had a soft spot for this family, he knew he can't always be there to save them. Who knows, if he was lucky he could get a gift from the system when he cured Andrew. He did get one when he saved Raylene and the children. Chapter 194, You look cute, Michael said, squatting down to brush Gaia's head. She was in her miniature snake form. Her scales were glimmering in violet, 2 round eyes with vertical slit pupils stared at Michael. In Michael's eyes she resembled a king cobra of Earth, only she was violet and 1.5 meters long. I'm not cute, she hissed, but Michael surprised her with a kiss on her snake head. For me you are. Michael already put the letter in his interlinked space ring so she could access the letter when she reached Jacob's room. Then he took out a colorless liquid and poured the liquid all over her body. You're wet, he blinked at her, letting out a playful smile. And you are a pervert, she hissed again before leaving the room towards Jacob's. A few minutes after Gaia left the room, Nightmare flew through the open window to Michael's shoulder. I checked the surroundings, no intruders in the vicinity. It's better to be safe than sorry, Michael patted Nightmare on the head. He then just sat on his bed waiting for Gaia to finally put his plan in motion. While sitting on his bed, he could see the shadows flicker outside the room through the gap under the door. It was obvious either one of the 3 ladies was waiting for him outside his room. Ignoring the person outside his room, he began to control the spiders to move to every room in the manor. From today onwards, if anything happens in Noah's home, Michael would know it sooner than Noah himself. He did not have a clear idea about what he could learn from bugging Noah's home, but he hoped that he would get some valuable information on Guardians. After a few minutes of waiting, the violet snake slowly advanced into the room through the open windows before transforming into her human form. She then looked at him, giving him a thumbs up with a wide grin on her face. Everything's in place, but before we go out, we need to decide what should we ask in return for what we did to them. What do you have in mind? Michael asked as Nightmare stared at her curiously. He could tell her by looking at her face that she already has something in her mind. License to open businesses in Penn Town with no taxes. Free permits from the Winstons. Although Michael had no plans to open any business in Penn Town, he knew getting these free permits would greatly help him in the future. Until now, he had no need for permits as Rivertown is said to have belonged to the Sunrise sect. Therefore, he didn't pay any taxes to Baron Totonk except a small percentage of the profits to the sect. The only source of income for the Sunrise sect was this small percentage they got from the Majestic. However, this would soon change when they merge with the Broad River sect. Don't ask them before they ask what we need, Michael said. Alright, Gaia knew they would try to repay Michael's kindness somehow, and when they try, she would ask for free permits. Let's go. With a plan to end both Giles and Jacob's lives, Michael walked towards the door. Sweetie. The moment Michael opened the door, he saw Diana waiting for him with Imelda and Natalia. The 3 ladies leaned towards him, expecting his answer. I have found a way to save Andrew, but we need to act quickly. Thank the gods. Diana and Imelda heaved a sigh of relief as Natalia shed tears of joy. Lead the way, Michael gestured at Diana with a smile as she frantically nodded before walking towards Andrew's room. On his way to Andrew's room, he saw a large group of guards gathered at the hall on the first floor. Sabrina was standing in front of them and seemed to coordinate with the guards. When Michael opened Andrew's room, Samuel was covering Andrews with a thick wool bed sheet to prevent the cold from seeping into his body. Sitting on the bed beside Andrews, Healer Adele was applying an ointment on Andrew's forehead. The pungent smell of the ointment overwhelmed Gaia's sensors in her nose to make her frown. Yet, she controlled herself from complaining about the smell. Young master, have you? The old butler's voice trailed, but when he saw Michael nod his head, Samuel's face brightened up. I'm going to use an ancient method here, so I'd appreciate it if you all kept this as a secret. Except for Healer Adele, who creased her brown bushy brows. Everyone in the room nodded in agreement. He noticed Healer Adele's expression but didn't give a shit because he just said that to make what he was about to do more dramatic. Don't panic, I need to take some blood from his body, Natalia nodded as he said, staring directly at her. Elia, dagger. Gaia retrieved the silver dagger from inside her winter coat and handed it over to him. Michael then made a small cut in Andrew's right palm before placing an empty vial to collect the blood. They saw him add a few other herbs into the vial with the blood and conjure the green alchemy flames. The blood and the herbs he added started to change color under the heat provided by the flames. Soon, the blood red transformed into a pale golden color. When thrown into the air, this potion will lead us to the nearest source that contains the poison in his body. If I can get my hands on the poison's purest form, I can use it to brew the antidote, and then the Phoenix potion will cure him of the star pox as it should. As they were staring at his potion, he waved the vial as the potion inside splashed into the air. However, the gravity couldn't get the potion to hit the ground, but the pale golden liquid floated in the air before slowly forming a trail from the room towards outside. The trail soon began to sparkle in the air like millions of tiny fireflies leading them towards something. They were all stunned by the sight, even healer Adele's mouth slightly opened in surprise. She had never heard of such a method nor a potion, but she knew the world is full of mysteries and new things. Therefore, she stood up from the bed, following the light trail behind Michael and the ladies. The trail is glowing brighter than I expected, Michael said, rubbing his chin. What does it mean? Imelda asked. It means the source is closer. They followed the light trail through the corridors to the front lawn. The guards who saw the sudden change in the air were tensed up, but Diana waved her hands nonchalantly, gesturing to calm down. Soon afterward, Sabrina joined the group to follow the light trail as she asked about the light trail from Adele. Jacob's room was located on the far end of the first floor. To reach his room, one had to go through the hall passing several rooms. All of them expected the light trail to go through the door leading them outside, but surprisingly, the light trail took a turn going towards the elders' rooms. What's happening? Imelda asked in surprise. Though the others didn't utter a word, Gaia could see the shock in their faces. Fortunately, when Gaia went to Jacob's room in her snake form, there weren't many guards inside the house to notice a snake. She also had to thank the man or the woman who decorated the house with countless tables, flower vases, and sofas that provided her with the much-needed cover to finish her task without getting detected. Why is the light trail going into Jacob's room? Everyone was thinking about it, but it was Sabrina who spoke her mind. This was a question that only Michael, Gaia, and Nightmare knew the answer for because Michael planned it in the first place. Weird, Michael pretended to be surprised. If my guess is correct, the poison source is close. Look at the brightness of the light trail. I guess the source is inside the house. Gaia folded her arms against her chest confidently. Diana and Imelda's faces lost their colors. They were bewildered about the light trail. Michael followed the light trail until he reached Jacob's door. Standing in front of the door, Michael could sense the fluctuations of arch energy in the surroundings, indicating Jacob has been cultivating. Lady Diana, Michael said, taking a step back from the door. Jacob. Diana knocked on the door, calling his name. Jacob opened the door, coming. After a few more knocks on the door, they heard Jacob's annoyed voice. When Jacob opened the door, his annoyed expression quickly turned into a somewhat surprised expression. Jacob took a brief moment to stare at everyone standing outside his door and noticed the light trail leading up to the middle of his room. Auntie, what's going on here? Jacob frowned. Ghost, Diana called out to Michael. She had no idea how the poison in Andrew's body could be found in Jacob's room. It's here, Lady Diana. Unless you have another way of saving Andrews, we can't turn back without searching this room. What? Search my room? Jacob was already annoyed at Ghost for hindering his plans, and when he heard that he wanted to search the room, Jacob snapped. However, Jacob could only raise his voice while making a fist because Jacob knew as a body-strengthening level 3 warrior, he had no chance of winning against a core formation warrior like Ghost. Since Ghost had already saved Sabrina and Diana, Jacob knew that the Winstons would definitely protect him even if his father wanted to take any action against Ghost. Step aside, Jacob. Sabrina pushed Jacob away before entering the room. I hope you know what you're doing, Ghost, Sabrina said. Chapter 195. What is this light and why are you searching my room? Jacob tried to stop them, but Sabrina had already shoved him aside and entered the room. Following Sabrina, Michael, Gaia, and everyone standing outside the door entered Jacob's room, ignoring his angry shouts. Sabrina followed the light trail in Jacob's room to a small 2 feet tall mahogany cupboard beside his bed. Auntie, are you going to tell me what's going on here? Jacob scowled at Diana. It depends on what we find here, Jacob, Diana replied flatly. Since Jacob was little, Diana knew he was always the problem child in the family. He would always get into trouble as his father had to bail him out every time. His behavior worsened for the last few months for some unknown reason. Last month he almost killed a strumpet by beating her to death. If not for Noah saving the poor girl and healing her in time, she would have died. Diana could recall dozens of incidents like this in just a few seconds. Although she didn't want to believe it, it wouldn't be a surprise if Jacob had something to do with the poison. If he did something to do with poisoning Andrews, Diana would personally send him into the dungeon before trying him at a family trial. Humph, go ahead. Search all you want, Jacob snickered before folding his arms in anger. The light trail ends near that cupboard. Michael pointed at the small cupboard to Sabrina. Still, there was no change on Jacob's face as he knew they wouldn't find anything in his room that would incriminate him. Sabrina opened the drawer, searching through the contents such as potions, combs, scrolls, and usual stuff that a cultivator would have. She almost closed the drawer before she noticed a glimmer of light coming from under all this stuff. She rummaged through the items to find the light coming from a letter that had no writings on the outside. Jacob was so busy staring at Ghost, he failed to notice the veins under Sabrina's face popping out. Her eyes instantly turned red as one could hear the sound of her gritting teeth. Shock and disbelief occupied her face. What is it, Sabi? Imelda asked after sensing the killing intent radiating from Sabrina's body. The killing intent was so intense that it instantly drew Jacob's attention towards her. He noticed Sabrina standing near the cupboard like she was nailed to the ground, slightly trembling. Jacob, everything is in place to kill that bitch Sabrina. ID make sure it looks like a bandit attack. Sabrina began to read the letter out loud. Her words stunned everyone including Jacob. After killing Sabrina, Alden ordered me to bring an assassin into your home to kill Diana. I'll tell you the details when we meet next. Also, keep the poison you used to poison Andrew safe, we might need it to kill Noah. Nightmare expected someone to interrupt or ask something but all they did was stand there speechlessly. He almost rolled his eyes when he noticed Gaia pretending to be thoroughly shocked. He had to give it to the snake for her acting skills. Victory shall be ours, Giles. What? What is that? Jacob's body began to shiver after Sabrina finished reading the letter. He had zero clues about how or when a letter like this reached his room. I don't know anything about that letter. It's not true. Jacob shouted. Even the eyes of Samuel contained a tinge of killing intent hidden within. So that's why you want me gone, huh? Michael asked to fan the flames of Sabrina's anger, so she would start attacking him. Just like he planned, she lunged at him, conjuring arch energy around her fist. Although she was just a body refining stage cultivator, she was extremely quick as Jacob didn't have time to react before she punched him in the chest as hard as she could. If the letter had anyone's name except Jacob's, she would have at least doubted the words on the letter, but when it comes to Jacob, she completely believed the letter. Her anger overwhelmed her brain as she almost forgot about guileless betrayal. Since Jacob did not conjure arch energy in time to protect himself, the force of the punch broke a few ribs and sent him flying onto the wall behind him. Ask him where the poison is before you vent your anger on him, Michael reminded Sabrina. Sabi. Jacob, you little bastard. Even Imelda, the kind-looking lady, lost her composure when it came to Jacob. It was really funny to Michael how they all completely believed the letter he fabricated. Yet, if Jacob wanted to blame someone, he had to blame himself for being an asshole. Lady Diana. Soon, the commotion brought the guards patrolling around the house. They saw their young miss drawing her sword as Jacob growling on the ground. I know nothing. About that letter, Jacob wanted to tear Sabrina into pieces but he knew attacking her only made him look guiltier. Plus, the guards would rather attack him with Sabrina than protect him because he has a history of abusing the guards. Give me your space ring, Sabrina spoke with powerful killing intent. If Jacob truly had nothing to hide, he would have given the space ring to her, except he really had a vial of basilisk venom that he used on Andrew in his space ring as well as the needle ring on his left hand. No. This is atrocious. I have nothing to do with anything that letter mentioned. The young master has nothing to worry about. Give your space ring to young miss and clear your name, Samuel said, waving his hand at the guards to stay put. Paralyzing wave. Suddenly, a wave of amethyst-colored wind hit Jacob. When the wave hit Jacob, his entire body froze as they all turned to see Natalia standing beside Diana with her hands reaching out at Jacob. Take his space ring. Natalia's usual soft gentle voice now sounded full of rage. Her golden hair fluttered in the cold wind, making her look domineering and powerful. Everyone who saw her like this was stunned. Among the three ladies, Natalia was the calmest and kind soul. They had never seen her angry until now. Sabrina swiftly took the space ring from Jacob's finger while he frantically rolled his eyes. He could not move a muscle in his body. Michael expected Sabrina to ask his help for breaking the seal on the space ring, but she surprised him when she broke the seal using a spell. The next moment, a bunch of scrolls, ale bottles, swords, potions and gold coins appeared on the ground. All of them were inside his space ring a moment ago. Michael looked at all the items on the ground before his gaze landed on a dark purple vial among the potions. What do we have here? Michael made his way to the vial and picked it up. Is that basilisk venom? Healer Adele quickly recognized the venom. A few gasps sounded from the guards. Most of them obviously heard about basilisk. The mere thought of the monster sent a chill running through their spines. Yes, this is the venom used to poison Andrews. After pretending to be studying the venom, Michael exclaimed. Explain why you have this poison in your space ring, Jacob, Diana asked, gently pushing Natalia's hands down to release Jacob from the spell. I. So it's true, you were plotting to kill me and my mom. Wait. But Jacob's cry had no effect on Sabrina as she charged at him again, curling up her fist. She punched him in the face. Did you hear that? Yes, young Master Jacob was trying to murder Lady Diana and young Miss Sabrina. Young Master Noah and young Miss Rowena is going to shred him to pieces. It was fortunate that we had Ghost to save Lady Diana in time. The guards began to chatter among themselves. The guards didn't know what was written on the letter, and those who knew didn't utter a word. They wanted to capture and interrogate Giles without alerting him. Samuel still couldn't completely believe that Captain Giles was plotting with Jacob to harm the Winstons. However, Samuel was old enough to know that people are full of surprises. Enough. Just when Sabrina was about to punch him again, Jacob released a burst of arch energy to push her away. The violent burst of arch energy knocked everything in the room, such as books, lanterns and flower vases. The items on the ground were blasted away in many directions. The burst momentarily broke the effects of the spell cast by Natalia. How dare you all treat me like this? Jacob barked like a mad dog. His neatly combed hair now a mess. Bloodstains on his teeth made him look even worse. And you? Jacob's gaze turned towards Michael. Everything went wrong after you came here. You're manipulating them, spouting lies about Andrew. Really, Jacob? Michael just calmly smiled. After all we've seen, you're trying to blame me? He then looked at Sabrina. You should deal with him before he forced my hand. Wind blast. Jacob snapped and tried to cast a spell, but when he opened his mouth to cast the spell, a wave of wind from Michael's hand blasted him onto the wall again. The force of the wind was so powerful that a web of cracks formed in the wall when Jacob's body collided with the wall. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 200 badass points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 600 badass points. Continued bell sounds rang in his head after he blasted Jacob. Wind blast was simple and quick to cast spell. Although the wind blast was still at level 2, his current cultivation level significantly did not affect boosted all of his spell's power. Jacob hit the ground with a thud sound, but he didn't move after falling down. The wind blast knocked him out. Sabrina gave a short nod of approval at Michael. Michael only got 3,000 badass points since Michael did not use any fancy spells such as Ring of Fire or Ignitia. Yet Michael was glad that he almost earned 15k badass points ever since he came to Pentown. He wanted to do the first thing after earning a couple of more thousand badass points and settle his debt of badass points. Meet me at the training hall, Sabrina ordered Samuel. Amid this chaos, she didn't forget about Giles. She wanted to interrogate Jacob more before taking any actions against Giles. Chapter 196, The Cure Worked. Natalia. Hell be fine, Healer Adele gently brushed Natalia's head. The three ladies had seated themselves on Andrew's bed, surrounding him. It took Michael 10 minutes to brew the basilisk venom antidote as well as the phoenix potion. He intentionally brewed the potion in front of the guards and maids to amass more badass points. As he expected, his plan worked too well as he earned a whooping 10k points by impressing the crowd. He now had 22,000 badass points. With interest, he had to pay 13,000 badass points to the system. Give these to him when he wakes up. Michael placed a healing potion on the small cupboard beside the bed. Excuse me. He then gave a short nod at everyone in the room before leaving Andrew's room. They all showed Michael a smile filled with gratitude. He knew they would soon come to thank him one by one, but for now, he gave them the privacy they needed. He left Andrew's room with Gaia and Nightmare. After reaching the room given to him, Michael jumped on his bed with Gaia. She placed her head on Michael's chest as Nightmare cuddled between them. Are you still mad at me? Nightmare asked in a meek voice. For a moment he sounded like a scared cat rather than a scary dragon. Looking at the pet dragon giving him puppy eyes, He smoothed the dragon's warm body. Nightmare uncurled himself and stood on Michael's chest on 4 legs, staring at Michael. But I just wanted to help that human girl. Just like you helped me in the Nether Realm. This time, your choice to help her didn't have a dire consequence. What if Alden still had a powerful family behind him? What if Sabrina really deserved to get killed? What if Alden didn't deserve to get killed? What if Alden was stronger than us? What if Alden escaped and decided to kill everyone at the sect as an act of revenge? Michael continued to raise questions, slowly making Nightmare realize what could have happened because of his actions. Helping others isn't a problem, but helping without knowing everything is. If I only want to increase my own power, I could easily roam around this world helping people, killing bad guys and being a goody two-shoes. But I don't want that. I want to build a government that rules everything under my leadership. That's why I take every step carefully, thinking about every possible outcome, Michael explained. Aside from the prophecy of him being the Dark Lord, Michael really wanted to control this world because of the novels he had read in his previous life and his life experience. The main characters in those novels would triumph over everything to become the peak existence, but if they turned back and look at their life path, they would have nothing but a harem of beauties, if they didn't die somehow. If he acted like those main characters, he could have a fun-filled life with the system. Yet he knew the world would eventually forget about him and move on unless he often showed them who's the boss. What's the best way to do that than ruling them? A god is only a god until he has worshippers, right? If Michael didn't rule this world, he would just be a character in the history books. Besides, organizations like the Great Clans would eventually become strong enough to challenge him, and if he was alone, his fun-filled life would definitely come to an end unless Michael built his own Great Clan, powerful enough to face all the others while uprooting his enemies on his behalf. He would be a god forever. You helped me without even knowing my name. Gaia rolled on his chest to take her eyes away from the ceiling to him. That was need not help. What do you mean? She raised her brows. Clearly, it was not the answer she was hoping for. I just came to this world knowing basically nothing. Hence I needed someone to tell me everything I wanted to know. You were a crippled girl and looked kinda okay too, so I rescued you. Her eyes twitched like she was controlling her urge to punch him in the face. What do you mean kinda okay? My mistake, you're not kinda okay. You're fugly. What's fugly? Nightmare asked while she was clenching her fist. Fucking ugly, bastard. She started to headbutt his chest furiously as Michael and Nightmare laughed out loud. Soon he grabbed her by her hands, stopping her from wiggle. Their eyes locked in, entering a staring contest. Little by little, Gaia's anger dissipated as she began to breathe heavily. He moved closer and closer until she could feel his warm breath on her face. You're the prettiest girl in my heart. Nightmare immediately closed his eyes with his wings when Michael locked his lips with hers. The tender kiss made him almost forget about the existence of Nightmare near them. Until they tie the knot, Gaia didn't want to have sex with him, and Michael respected her decision. Although he had the prettiest girl lying beside him on a warm bed on a cold night like this, the only thing he could get was a tender kiss. Michael savored every second of the kiss. Lesson learned, Nightmare wiggled himself in between them, breaking the kiss with his little body. Good, Michael moved his head away from Gaia's. He then licked his lips, a wry smile was plastered on his face. Let's see what's happening around. A tablet-sized mirror appeared in Michael's hand from his space ring. A bright light flickered inside the mirror a few times before it showed the Winston family hall. They saw a few guards standing in the corners and a group of guards patrolling. Nothing caught Michael's interest until the mirror showed 3 guards standing around a campfire at the garden outside. My cousin Lamar just came back from Flame Fair and you're not going to believe what I heard from him. Nightmare hopped on Michael's shoulder to get a good view of the mirror. He said the whole town is under lockdown. He said that he had to pay his way out. No surprise there, Flame Fair and Ice Fair always get the worst of the winter, the guard replied in a thick accent while warming his hands above the fire. It was not the winter that made those Flame Fairers piss their pants, Trent. Someone is killing the wealthy cultivators in their own home and Duke Avon put the entire Flame Fair in lockdown. Good Lord, do you think it's Lucifer? The guard's voice stuttered in fear. The mere mention of the name Lucifer made his legs turn into jelly. I don't know, but he said the Guardians were swarming the place, so it's possible. Then Lucifer should kill that bastard Avon and end this fucking war, the third guard replied. That's not all. A few days ago, someone killed a few soldiers of Duke Avon at the slave mines. Slave mines? What? The guard with a thick accent asked. Who knows? Did they catch the one who attacked? Lamar said he heard the one who attacked used a teleportation scroll to escape. I guess it must be some rich brat who loves the thrill, so she used the teleportation scroll, Michael said. Bugging Noah's home had already started to pay off. He never expected to find out what happened at Flamefair without even going or sending someone to Flamefair. It seems the Guardians left the royal land to come to Flamefair, or we have another copycat. Either way, I have to go to Flamefair. You mean we have to go to Flamefair, right? Michael shook his head. No, you go to Abyssal and make sure Arya put her heart into serving us. But she was about to protest when Michael put his finger on her lips. No buts. We can't be at two places at the same time. You go to Abyssal and I go to the Flamefair. What about the auction at Icefair? Nightmare asked. Well, leave tomorrow morning, and if you can, you meet us at the auction. All right, Gaia sighed. Where is that Diana lady? We cannot leave without getting those free permits. Speaking of Diana, is it me or that humans seem to be treating Ghosty differently? Nightmare asked them. Gaia nodded at Nightmare as she noticed the way Diana acted too. She does look like a textbook mother, but yeah, I did notice how she treated a total stranger like her own son. I mean, you did save her and her daughter, but still, she was way too much caring. What if she was way too caring? There are many good people in this world and she is one of them. I just hope Noah doesn't get in my way. I do really hate to make her cry. The way I see it, that guy is really pushing his luck. One day he's gonna get himself killed for pissing off the powerful people in Elon. Gaia dismissed Michael's thought of killing Noah with a wave. Knock, knock. Just as they were speaking and cuddling each other on the bed, someone knocked on the door. Coming, just by the gentleness of the knock, he could tell it's either one of the three ladies who knocked on the door. When he opened the door, he was proven right as Diana stood outside. Chapter 197, Lady Diana, is everything all right? Yes. Everything's perfectly fine, thanks to you, she said, but Michael could tell there's something else she wants to talk to him about. Come on, let's go for a walk. This has been a long day. Michael nodded as Diana waved her hands at Gaia and Nightmare to follow her. Soon they walked through the corridors, hall, and reached the garden outside. A transparent energy dome around the garden prevented the garden from completely blanketed by snow. The sky was vacant of any stars, as a winter sky should be. Occasional glimmering stones lighted the garden as various color flowers danced in the wind. Especially a line of 5-petal flowers that drew their attention with its navy blue color. Michael walked behind Diana, brushing his hand through the flowers. Lady Diana, it's not safe for you here. Why don't we go inside? Although he sensed no hostile activity nearby, he didn't want to stay outside because Giles was still alive and he could easily plot another plan to assassinate Diana. If the assassin was at the core formation level, either he or Gaia could prevail, otherwise they would be in real trouble. It's fine, I feel just as safe with you as with my children. I guess, thanks? Michael scratched the back of his head with a doubtful smile. Diana was in front of him, so she never saw his expression. No, it's us who must thank you for all you've done for me and my family. Diana halted her steps, turning back to look him in the eyes. Thank you, she took Michael's hand and clenched it tightly. I don't know how I would have faced Natalia if I let anything happen to Andrews. Glistening tears rolled out of her beautiful eyes. He desperately wanted to wipe those tears off her face. This was a new kind of feeling for him. Happy to help, Lady Diana. Standing a few meters away from Diana and Michael, Gaia slightly raised her brows. She was with him for almost a year now, but this was the first time she saw him vulnerable like this. Even when he was with her, he would never seem vulnerable, but when he was with Diana, he acted differently. Both of them stood under the drizzling of snowflakes. No words were coming out of their words, but silence enveloped them. Michael felt a calmness he never experienced before. Gaia coughed to break the silence. Finally, Diana let go of his hands and stepped back. Sweetie, you never told me where your parents are? They must be proud to have a son like you. I would have known if they stuck around to raise me. Michael just smiled, but both Gaia and Diana could sense the pain behind his smile. I am sorry, Diana stuttered. Don't be, Lady Diana. He quickly hid the pain and anger from showing on his face. Even if we know you for few days, you're family to me, sweetie. He did not know what to tell as he just stayed silent for a few moments. Tomorrow you'll get to meet the whole gang. Diana clenched her hands together against her chest in joy. A blast of happiness flashed across her face. About that, Lady Diana. I have to leave as early as possible tomorrow morning. The smile on Diana's face froze. Why? I must leave as soon as possible, Lady Diana, trust me. I hope you understand my situation. After seeing the resolve in his eyes, Diana could only sigh. At least wait until Natalia comes out of Andrew's room. She would want to speak with you, and I haven't even got you something to thank you for what you've done. You can thank us by giving us free permits, Gaia hurriedly shouted at Diana. Free permits. forgive my girlfriend's enthusiasm. It just we are planning to expand our businesses and she thinks Penn Town will be a perfect place. Done, just wait here for a few moments. When the sky became brighter, Michael wrote a letter that had a few parting words for Diana. He then placed it on the table before leaving the room through the open windows with Gaia and Nightmare. He soared up into the skies, his shadow gradually vanishing into the distance. A few hours after Michael left the room, Diana opened the door to see the empty room. Seeing the room empty, her eyes revealed a perplexed look as if she couldn't bear to watch him go. At the same time, tears trickled out of her eyes. She then saw the letter which Michael had left behind. This caused her to freeze for a second before she approached the table and picked up the letter. She sat on his bed as she gazed at the words written by him. Lady Diana, I'm not very good with goodbyes and this is the best I could do. If fate permits, we'll meet again soon, she muttered repeatedly. After a long time, her expression fell as she whispered to herself, "Forgive me." She then placed the letter down as she crawled into his bed. Within the covers, there was still some warmth left behind by him. Diana lay down on the pillow and pressed her face deep into the pillow. While Diana was sobbing on Michael's bed, Imelda entered the room. She was stunned by the empty room and her sister crying. "Diana, what happened? Why are you crying and where are they?" Imelda asked, walking to the bed to console her sister. When Imelda seated herself on the bed, Diana crawled to her and placed her head on Imelda's lap. "Did he leave without even telling us?" "He told me yesterday night. I just wanted to say goodbye to him. They must have had some important thing to take care of." "Diana, but why are you crying like this?" Imelda too noticed the way she treated Michael. She didn't want to question her sister when Michael was around, and since he's gone, she was able to ask Diana. "Because Ghost is my son." Imelda, she burst into crying more after speaking these words. The grief, regret, and pain overwhelmed Diana's heart. "Diana, he's not your son. You know he can't be." Amala's heart began to beat faster and faster. She could still remember that night vividly every time she closed her eyes. She wanted to forget about everything that happened that night, but until now she was unable to. "No. He is my son. The wishing stone. It worked." Diana stood up, wiping off the tears from her face. She then flicked her wrist as a multicolored gem appeared in her hand. It flickered a few times before losing its shine. This is the stone Noah gave you." Imelda was speechless. She was stunned when Noah gifted the stone to Diana on her birthday. It said that a wishing stone could grant its holders wishes if he or she wished from their heart and their wish wasn't about hurting others. Noah also said that there's only a couple of wishing stones existing in this world. "I wished to see my Dean, and the very next day I met Ghost." "Ghost is Dean?" "Imelda, stop it, Diana." Imelda shouted as Diana's face froze in shock. "That baby couldn't have survived, it's dead. You have only one son and you to accept that." "No." Diana stomped her feet as the entire room trembled. Imelda was pushed back several feet by the arch energy exploded from Diana's body. 20 years ago I made a mistake. I shouldn't have trusted that oracle. A mother knows her children. "Imelda, he is my son." It had been 20 years since Imelda saw her sister like this. If she didn't stop cultivating 20 years ago to punish herself, she would have been half immortal by now. 2 decades ago, she was a warrior feared by many kingdoms in the Azare continent. Imelda's body shivered under the overwhelming aura radiating from Diana. However, Imelda had to overcome this fear and calm her sister down. "Even if he is your son, do you think he'll be happy to meet us, the ones who left him to die on a sacrificial stage in the middle of a forest?" The overwhelming powerful aura slowly dissipated from Diana's body. "You know what would the Sky Hall do to him if they knew the baby survived and grew into a youngster? They will kill him." Diana's legs gave up as she dropped to the ground. She felt just as helpless as she felt 20 years ago. Even an animal would fight to save its child, but she left her 2 days old baby to die. Ever since that night, Diana couldn't stop hearing the baby's cries. If it wasn't for her family, she would have already taken her own life. "Ah," Diana cried out loud. "Don't speak about this with anyone, Diana. If by any chance he's your son." "He is," Diana sobbed as Imelda sighed, wrapping her hands around Diana to console her. "He can't be the son you want him to be. He'd be killed along with everyone he knew in this world. Don't do that to him." "So, you want me to pretend like my son doesn't exist? Rowena and Noah can protect him. We can protect him from the Sky Hall." Imelda shook her head. "If we tell them about Ghost, Rowena will throw away her holy maiden position and Noah will fight for his twin brother, but they can't win against the Sky Hall, Diana. Even if Noah brought the entire Guardian Guild with him, Sky Hall will destroy them. You know this better than anyone. Diana had no response as she knew the truth in Imelda's words. She could only cry. That was all she could right now. I know how hard this is for you, Diana, but Dean can't be with us unless he could become strong enough to destroy the Sky Hall. Chapter 198. In a multitude of precious metal hues, snow clouds, silver and black, adorned the sky as if they longed to kiss the land. Under the snow clouds and rain of snowflakes, Michael was flying towards Flamefair without a clue about what just happened back in his room. If he had enough spiders, he would have placed them in every room, including in the room he stayed in. Therefore he prioritized the hall, Noah's room, and a few others, and did not place one in his room. If he had done that, he would have realized that Diana is his mother. More correctly, Abra's mother. Even before coming to this world, he had been the reason for the separation between Diana and her son. How far is this Flamefair? Nightmare asked, standing on his shoulder. I think we'll reach the Flamefair town in a few hours. The smokiness of the winter prevented him from clearly seeing the villages beneath him on the land. He could barely see structures of buildings and dim lights produced by the torches in those buildings. The guard was right, the winter is harsher here than in Breedia or Penn Town. So what should we do when we find this copycat? Kill him, Michael simply shrugged. We have 3 days until the auction, which means we have 3 days to find this copycat. What if it's like Gaia said? What if this copycat is a Guardian's doing? If the system was on safe mode before, he may have chosen to intrude. Since it was not the case, Michael would definitely kill the one pretending to be him, even if that one was a Guardian. Then well, kill them too. Michael and Nightmare continued to fly towards the north according to the map. Soon, towering man-made structures and a gigantic city wall vaguely appeared in the distance. I can sense some powerful presence on the city wall, ghosty, Nightmare informed Michael. Although Michael could not see or sense any presence, he knew Nightmare saw the world and the energy around the world differently than any other species in this world. Considering many cities he had been in had no flying inside the city walls rule, he descended to the ground to enter the city through the main gate. Soon, as he was expecting, a group of soldiers approached him. Another Nightcrawler hunter, I presume. The person who was leading the guard patrol was a woman. She stood at least 7 feet tall with the structure of a professional bodybuilder. Her bulky structure seemed bulkier with the jade green armor that was covering her from her head to toe. Regardless of her monstrous height and figure, Michael stayed calm, except his heart skipped a beat when he saw the golden G etched onto her chest plate. A Guardian. Michael's mind quickly recognized the symbol. It was the same symbol he saw on Peyton and Zanalis' robes. He quickly willed himself to sense her cultivation level. She was just a few months of cultivation away from reaching the core strengthening stage. Coupled with her physique strength and the power of her armor, he knew it would be difficult to defeat her in a one-on-one battle unless he fought her as Lucifer. Haha, look guys, he came to hunt the Nightcrawler with a fucking dragon, the woman laughed, pointing her gigantic hand at Nightmare. The soldiers in ironclad armor behind her let out an awkward smile mixed with shock and surprise. The appearance of a Guardian and what he heard from the guards at Noah's home helped Michael get a good idea about what she was talking about. Just when Michael was about to ask her a question about hunting Nightcrawler, her smile disappeared from her face and was replaced by a stern look. I know who you are. Humph, you must be the guy who's calling himself Ghost, she snickered. Nightmare bore his sharp razor teeth because of the way she ridiculed Michael. Do I know you? The usual calm smile on Michael's face was non-existent when he asked the woman. Rejecting Peyton's offer to join them as one of their lackeys certainly made an impression about him on the Guardians, and Michael knew it. Pay 2,000 gold to enter the city and hunt Nightcrawler. The city is off limits otherwise, the woman spoke, turning her back to Michael. So be it. Michael knew there's no point in arguing with this woman as he threw a pouch containing the gold to one of the guards. The woman had already stepped through the city gates and disappeared from Michael's eyes. Young Master Ghost, you're clear to go in. Unlike the Guardian, the guards seemed to speak to Michael with the utmost respect. They barely looked at Michael and Nightmare in their eyes. It might be respect or fear, but Michael didn't care which. He just nodded with a smile before walking into the city through the main gate. The city of Flamefair was built in the shadow of an enormous mountain and was truly a leading-edge wonder. Its uniqueness was matched by the backdrop of a majestic mountain that has helped shape the city into today's city. The skyline was scattered with distinct skyscrapers, and they had been designed to adorn the city and each other. When Michael took his first step into the city, he saw the usual buildings such as smithies, bakeries, lines of houses, and clothing stores as he would have in any other city. However, what made Flamefair distinct in his eyes was how barren and empty the streets were. Even if this was the winter season, he knew a large city like this shouldn't be this empty and lifeless. He saw 0 people on the streets except for patrolling soldiers. Is that a dragon? Who is he? That's one majestic creature. He's making himself the target of the Nightcrawler. Bad move, he heard the patrolling guards murmuring while just a sight of Nightmare standing on Michael's shoulder was enough to impress the guards and increase his badass points. Where to? Nightmare asked as Michael began to walk through the snow-covered main street. The first place you should go to if you want to gather information, a tavern. It took him a couple of minutes walking before arriving in front of a 2-story building made of gray stones and red bricks. A beautifully calligraphed board that had a drawing of an old plump woman with a mug was hanging above the door. Old Martha, Nightmare read the board as they entered the tavern through the old, metal door. He was welcomed by whispers and aromas of what's probably food, hopefully. The bartender on the other end of the tavern was cleaning the mugs, and when he saw Michael, he quickly smiled at him, but his smile quickly froze on his face looking at Nightmare. It was as dull inside as the streets outside. Hard wooden beams supported the upper floor and the rows of small molten candles attached to them. The walls were decorated with mounted animal heads and small animals. The tavern itself was almost completely abandoned. On the walls of the tavern, Michael saw a wanted poster. Dark, curly hair clumsily hung over a skinny, frowning face. The man on the poster wore a monocle that gave rather an evil vibe. Nightcrawler. Nightmare read the name while Michael grabbed the poster from the wall. 100,000 gold coins for whoever brings the Nightcrawler to Duke's palace, dead or alive. That's a huge bounty. Michael placed the bounty poster in his system storage before walking to the bar counter. Young Master, we don't allow dash. I'm sure you'll make an exception, the bartender stuttered, staring at Nightmare. Before the bartender could finish his sentence, Michael slid a small pouch of gold count to the bartender to shut his mouth. There were more than enough coins for the bartender to make an exception to his no pets allowed rule. Since that was the case, the bartender forced a smile out. He was still freaked out about the dragon staring at him. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 400 badass points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 300 badass points. Just walking into the tavern with Nightmare granted Michael badass points as he always expected, because having a dragon as a pet was definitely badass. Why so serious? Let's light up this place. Michael turned to look at the few people in the tavern. Drinks are on me, Ghost of River Town. Michael hoped they could identify him with his name, and when he saw the people slightly drop their jaws, he knew they recognized him. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 400 badass points. Yeah. Oh my god, it's really him. The 5-star alchemist of Breedia? Heck yeah. Some cheered thinking about free booze, while some were stunned to see a renowned figure like him at the same tavern where they are. A few daring adventurers quickly came to Michael's side and seated themselves beside Michael. Keep the ale flowing, bartender. What was a better way to loosen their tongues than buying them free drinks? It would make them drunk, and drunk people tell no lies. Of course, young master. The bartender almost forgot about the terrifying dragon because he knew how much these people would drink if they don't have to pay for the drink. Thanks to Ghost, he could very well sell enough drinks to make up for the drought of a week he had previously because of the Nightcrawler. So what brings a famous guy like yourself to Flamefair, especially during a fucked up time like this? A middle-aged adventurer with a thick bushy beard asked Michael. Of course he came to hunt down Nightcrawler, old man, a young adventurer shouted at the middle-aged man. What can you guys tell me about this Nightcrawler? You're tuning in to the Phantom Sword Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.